Good evening and welcome to the Coach's Kage Show on 3kg.com. This is Bill K, joined by Bob Kurtz, Scotty Miller. As always, our Wednesday night here from Arnie's Pizzeria in Rensselaer. Come on out and join us if you got some time tonight. Get the world's best pizza and you can mingle with the area basketball coaches. Kind of our recap going on here this day, and looking forward to a lot. We have a winner in the house. Tri-County's Ryan Harrington is the sectional champion this year. We'll speak to him pretty soon, and in fact, the team he beat to go into it is North White. So we'll have all kinds of information here for you. That's Matt Sitkema, of course, for the Vikes, and looking forward to it. We've got, we'll talk a little bit about the sectional from last week, recap it, just all area region teams, etc. Teams that you may have noticed or have some interest in, or whether they have some connection via the conference standings or fairly close in our regional. In the 4A Michigan City regional, it'll be Chesterton 20-5 versus 26-1 Penn. There are two one-loss teams still left in the all four classes of Indiana basketball, and Penn is one of them. There's one undefeated team, and ranked number one in the AP poll. That's Ben Davis at 29-0, and they are in the Southport regional against Indianapolis Cathedral 19-5 this week. The other one-loss team is also up there in Michigan City with Penn, and that's Hammond Central. Comes in at 25-1, and they will play 20-6 Mishawaka. Mishawaka is, Hammond Central is the Associated Press number 3 team. So that should be a really good contest coming up in the big school. Marking over in 3A, of course, the Rensselaer Central Bombers edged out right at the last minute against Twin Lakes. They looked like they were going to win their second sectional in a row. But in the South Bend, Washington regional, Lake Station 22-3, having a fine season. They are ranked number 8 in the AP poll. They will entertain Northwood, which should be a battle. The Northwood comes in at 24-2. Newcastle is where Twin Lakes will go. They were the unexpected winner over the Bombers. Came in with a losing record in the sectional this year and knocked the Bombers off in a thriller. We'll talk more about that later on as the show moves on. But Twin Lakes now 10-14 will play Fort Wayne Dwenger, another team below 500 at 12-13. So two teams that are going to be very hungry coming in the regional against each other, and both very clutch so far. Obviously, in the 2A regional, it'll be North Judson hosting, and the host team, North Judson Blue Jays, 23-3. Very, very impressive squad. We saw them in our last contest of the year up at Kankakee Valley. They edged out the Cougars in a close one. They will be playing Lewis Cass of the Hoosier Conference. North Judson is the AP number 11 squad, and I think that's a little bit low. I think they should be ranked higher than that, but that's where they come in Class 2A. The other matchup at North Judson is Gary 21st Century 20-5. They are the AP number 7 team, and they will be hosting Westview 17-8. And in Class 1, as we said, Ryan Harrington's Tri-County Cavaliers. Boy, did they have a nice run in the sectional and knocked off North White in that final game in a close one. Time, Tri-County is now 12, but they're playing the really definitely a favorite in Class A. Um, Michigan City Marquette Catholic comes in at 19-7, and that should be a good matchup. See what the Cavaliers can keep their magic going this week. Couts is in the other side of that Triton Regional, and they are 16-9. They had an upset over host Morgan Township of their own, and they'll be playing Bethany Christian, 16-10. So there's just two teams with losing records of 10-14, and that's Twin Lakes and Rock Creek Academy, who's playing over in Logotee. And then, of course, Fort Wayne Dwenger is still under 500 at 10-13, like we mentioned, and they will be matched up with Twin Lakes. Real quick, we'll look at the conferences. Everything's all in the books here right now. And Northwest Crossroads Conference, Munster won that outright 5-0. KV finished second at 4-1. KV was 9-15 overall. Andrean came in third at 3-2, followed by Hobart 2-3, Highland 1-4, and Lowell 0-5. In the Hoosier Conference with the Rensselaer Central Bombers, that was won by the Bombers this year, as the way they match up. But what matters is that last crossover wild card game, and the Bombers knocked off Tipton. First time in, I believe, 11 games. They had an 11-game losing streak to Tipton, but not this year. That's all knocked off with it was 11-game losing streak, and they beat them 63-57. So the Bombers were on top in the West Division with 3-1, tied with Benton Central. Central Catholic at 2-2. West Lafayette, Twin Lakes followed at 1-3. Just shows you where you're. What that means, though, as far as sectionals, what counts. Twin Lakes came up and jumped up and bit everybody at the end. Over at the East Division, it was Tipton 4-0, Cass 3-1, Northwestern 2-2, Hamilton Heights 1-3, and Western 0-4. In our local small school conference, Midwest Conference, that finished up with a win for North Newton on top of the conference at 6-1. DeMont Christian and Tri-County tied for second. They're very nice 5-2 marks. Frontier came in fourth at 4-3, followed by Faith Christian and North White, tied with 3-4 marks. Then West Central 2-5, and South Newton brings up the bottom at 0-7. DeMont Christian finished the season at a 14-10 mark. They closed with a nice 6-1 streak, so 6 of their last 7 games were victories, but they lost in that sectional game at Morgan Township, to Morgan Township, in a close one, 70-66. Kankakee Valley, it didn't finish up like Billy Shepard would have liked for sure, as they lost 3 in a row to close out their season at 9-15, and lost a tough one. They 55-44 after knocking off Hobart in the regular season. Of course, that conference play, and it's kind of a surprise that Hobart got them here in the sectionals. North Newton finished off. They had a really tough matchup up north, and they finished their season with a loss to Ileana Christian. But as was the whole season, everything close, 59-54. That was kind of the story of the North Newton Spartans all year. Everything close, wins and losses. They had a nice bounce-back season, winning 4 of their last 6 and finishing 12-11 for Coach Sam Zachary. North White Vikings, the coach we talked about, Matt Sipkema, he's ready here pretty soon. He'll be second on deck here tonight. They finished 7-17, winners of 2 of their last 3, including an exciting sectional victory against West Central, the hosts. They knocked them off 54-53, and then lost that overtime sectional championship game to Tri-County 43-40. Of course, that was a back to like the old days, 3 games in one day because of the weather that was delayed. And of course, last week we remember what the weather did to us. Here on Wednesday, we got the plug pulled on us very unexpectedly, as all the power went off in this part of the city and lost our broadcast right in the middle of it. The Rensselaer Bombers, what an ideal season. They had a 20-6 season mark under Coach Chad Pulver. Ended up with a loss to Twin Lakes, 61-59, but that's kind of ruined a really Cinderella season. Have a 26-game win streak now versus North Newton. That was one of their closest games all year, as they knocked off the Spartans at Joe Bourbon Gymnasium 44-22. A lot of exciting games for the Bombers, including the third time against Benton Central in the sectional. In the Bombers sectional games, they blew out North Montgomery 70-48, won a thriller against Benton Central 47-44, and then lost to Twin Lakes 61-59. South Newton, I see Coach Ricky Monemeyer joining us now, coming in, and he'll be on the schedule here tonight. It was a rebuilding year for the Rebs, finished at 2-21, but 2 of those losses were in their last 4 games. A thriller to end that losing streak, and knocked off North Miami 47-46 in 2 overtimes, and then also beat Attica going away 56-18 before losing at West Central to West Central 59-36. Of course, we talked about Tri-County, and what a thrill that was to win that sectional for the Cavs, 43-40 over North White, and we'll match up against Marquette Catholic, see if they can keep their hot streak going. They are 8-2 in their last 10 games here this year. Cavs just had an outstanding success in the sectional championships, but haven't gotten past that. They have not yet to win a regional. Wouldn't that be nice if it happened this year? Tri-County's tourney record overall since 1972 is 52-51, so they got over that 500 hump. And some of the past sectional winners, boy, I can remember some of these thrilling contests when they won at Twin Lakes in 1993, 71-65 over Rensselaer Central. That was back in the day of the single class system, and they lost. Believe it or not, I'll never forget that loss in the regionals when they lost to Lafayette Jeff, 92-82. What a battle, knockdown battle that was between a 1A school and a big 4A school who was awfully good that year. And I remember they had a they had a player got a full ride over, I think it was Arizona or New Mexico, and they just had an outstanding team. Of course, the Cavs were loaded up with tons of talent too, and those were fun days. And then the Cavs ran off 3 sectional championships in a row, 2006, 7, and 8. 2006, they beat Pioneer 52-40. 7, they beat South Newton 49-42. In 2008, they beat North White 70-36. They also had victories, sectional wins against West Central, or at West Central, knocking off Pioneer 69-55, and at Caston knocking off South Newton 55-31. That was in 2017. So the Cavs now with their 9th sectional championship. And West Central finishes the season 9-15. They won 2 of their last 3, knocked off South Newton, of course, handily in the sectional, but lost that thriller then to North White 53-54. So that just gives you a little background here of what's going on sectional-wise, what we missed from last week's abbreviated Kage show, and we'll catch up now with all of our coaches coming up here. Throw it over to Bob Kurtz, but we'll take a timeout and get ready to chat with all of our area coaches. You are listening and watching the 3KG Coaches Show. Come back and join us for more.
High-quality, personalized dental service is what they do at Hillcrest Dental. For over 40 years, generations have relied on Hillcrest Dental for beautiful, healthy smiles. Dr. John Ayler and Dr. Jack Drone look forward to seeing you for your next dental visit. For information or to set your appointment, call 219-866-7117. That's 219-866-7117. Or visit hillcrestdental.net. Hillcrest Dental is a proud sponsor of all high school athletics.
Meet you at Arnie's, Rensselaer's go-to pizza and so much more. Pizza, sandwiches, burgers are here. Don't forget about dessert. Wings, cheese sticks, garlic bread too. Arnie's pizza menu has something for everyone. Dine in or carry out in the best pizza in town. Located across from St. Joseph's College in Rensselaer. Call 219-866-9999 and meet you at Arnie's.
Founded in 1931, Community State Bank in Brook is your community bank. We specialize in relationship banking while offering the technology required to meet your modern banking needs. Community State Bank is the area leader in new construction loans and home mortgages. Our lenders know small business and have products to meet your farm and business needs. We're available to get to know you and your needs today at 224 West Main in Brook or by calling 219-275-2441.
Pulver Psychological Services offers psychological counseling, consultation, and assessment. Locally owned and operated, Pulver Psych focuses on solutions for the community and serves as support for individuals, families, and organizations. Whether you're in need of personal, family, or success counseling, Pulver Psychological Services can help you reach your life goals. Increase work satisfaction, have better relationship compatibility, improve sports performance. Get in touch with Pulver Psychological Services by visiting pulverpsych.com.
Back to the Coach's Cage Show, live from Arnie's Pizzeria here in Rensselaer. And joining us now, North White coach Matt Sipkema. Bob Kurtz is here, and Scotty Miller, technician extraordinaire, cameraman. And boy, it's good to have Scotty back
Absolutely.
in the seat. Yeah, I feel safer when he's here. But and hopefully we'll have good results with no outages.
We
pulled a plug out.
We got struck down a couple weeks ago, didn't we?
But boy, North White. They come out of nowhere and just an inch shy of a sectional championship.
Well, let's hear from themselves. Is this still hard to get over that loss, now?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, I was telling you guys earlier that you don't get many opportunities to be here. You really don't. You go on John Harrell and you look at all the coaches that are good coaches who've never even won a sectional, right? So I was lucky enough to lead a group last year to a sectional title. We graduated all 5 starters last year, and I was like, didn't know where we would be at this year. To be able to have the ball in our hands with 3 seconds left and to tie a ball game in a sectional final, I mean, you'd have told me that back in November, I wouldn't know if I'd believe you. But going back to the beginning of the season, the first thing I told the boys at the first week of practice was, listen, we're going to take some lumps this year. I knew we were going to have 5 brand new starters, but 4 would be seniors. And the physicality part People don't understand there's a big difference between a senior and a freshman and a sophomore. You're not, every once in a while you think of the Matthews boy as Rensselaer as a sophomore, a very strong, stout kid, looks like he's a senior, but there's not many of those. So I always thought that with upperclassmen we could figure some things out, but we knew it was going to be, I told the boys we're going to lose some ball games and we're going to take some mighty big lumps against the likes of the Carrolls and the Rochesters, and I don't hold things back. I don't go to any game saying we're going to lose this game, but realistically we're going to play lights out basketball to compete, and the boys really bought into that and they understood that. But I said what we need at the end of the year, this is back in November still, is we need a great draw, and I haven't had a good draw in 5 years. So
till this year,
and we laughed about it. The draw was 2 weeks ago, and you should just see the boys. I can tell you now, they were ecstatic, and we talked about just getting to work, and we go back. And we won 3 of our last 4 games going into sectionals too, so we were playing better basketball. And the first game of the day, so I'll get into the sectional. The first day that we got postponed to Saturday, so we played a semi-state format. We played 10, 12, and 7:30. The first game between Tri-County and Frontier was an awesome game. I think Tri-County won by 2. So we played at noon, and we played West Central, who we just beat by 5 the previous week. One of the best players in the whole sectional, and Aiden White. So we knew we were going to be in a long game. And just like the first game, we started out 19-11, 19-12 at the end of the first. We're up, start big. We don't score for a little bit. Second quarter, they go on a run. I think we're up by 4 at halftime. And my message to the boys was, everyone talks about the last play of the game, of any game. But there's 100 possessions throughout the game. And I think the biggest part of basketball games are the first 3 minutes of the third quarter. Who comes out of the locker room ready to play? Who makes adjustments? Who's amped up ready to go? Because you could lose a lot of ball games in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the third quarter. And we went out and we were +6 at the end. They so happened we made a run, so they used the timeout right at the 5-minute mark. It was just weird. So I looked up there at the huddle and was like, look at that. Now it's the second 3. And, we maintained that lead, and they went on a little run, and they ended up regaining the lead. We had we talked all week that you cannot let West Central run out on you, and they got a couple run-outs. And West Central, they really struggle with guarding the flex cut. They don't switch on the back screens. We know that all year. We watch
now, in case people don't know what that is, what's a flex cut?
Flex cut is, you're going to set a screen down in like the short corner area. So you picture the short corner and then picture out in the perimeter of the 3-point line. The guy might have the ball and he's going to swing the ball. We'll have a 4 out with the flex cut, 4 guards on the perimeter, and once you swing the ball away from where the short corner is, then we'll just run that guard after he throws the ball. We'll run him off that flex cut, but back screen. It's a back screen flex cut, whatever you want to call it. But then all of a sudden he'll wind up on the opposite side block as the ball's being rotated. And what's nice about that, it's just so easy to continue that, because now the guy on the opposite side has the ball, and if he doesn't make the entry pass to the block, then all of a sudden he swings it back to the wing. Well, then your guy on the block, he steps back out like 2 feet towards the short corner, maybe a little higher up, to allow that guard to run it off the other side. And you run it, it's just a little bit of version of the flex offense, a little bit different from that. But you run that, and the second or third time through, you'll get lost. But you really preach on those flex cuts. You almost have to switch them all the time. And that's what you want from an offensive standpoint. You want you to get a big and a guard switched on it, stuff like that. But West Central don't switch it. They don't go, we call hot and cold. They'll go cold on it. They'll follow you all the way through it, try to set up a block, so we know that. So the last play, we just called it elbow. And we ran it like 10 times that game, and we probably scored 8 of the 10 times. So we're down by 1, and I'm just like, we're running elbow. And you can hear Bernie, the other coach, yelling, man, flex cut's coming. And Dane runs it perfectly. Eli Stearns needs a lot of credit. He gave a perfect bounce pass. Some of these entry passes aren't necessarily easy to do. Nice wraparound pass. Dane gets it with 14 seconds, puts it up. We go up 1. Doesn't make his free throw. And then we go down there and we make one heck of a defensive stop where they don't even get a good look at it with the last 18 seconds. And we win 54-53. And I want to say it's about 1:45, 2 o'clock when the game gets over. And
what'd you do in between games?
Well, it's a good problem to have. I told the boys to make sure you kids don't understand how easy it is to cramp. So I told them to get plenty of fluid, drink water, and 3 hours of rest because we're going to meet back at the gym at 5:15.
So you went back home.
We went home.
So you're not that far away from
No,
Central.
we're just 10 minutes away, so it's nice. And but we went back home, and I went and watched the second half of that film when they went on. I always watch when our team goes on a run on us, so what we could do differently. And so I broke down our film for like a half an hour, then watched some of the Tri-County from us from the beginning of the year. I knew what they would do against our zones. They did a lot of backdoor lobs, so I went back and watched our game from December, and then I put our plan in from probably 3:34, 4 to 5, and then met the boys back up at 5. So, I mean, the day was over for you. It was just quick. And then we go back over to Tri-County, and we get out there, and I just knew with matchups, when the draw came out, I said, boys, we're going to have to beat one really good team to win this. Which it's a championship. I'm not talking about a game, just any type of championship, you should have to beat a good team to win it. You know, but we needed it to be Tri-County. Frontier has
matchup good with them.
Matchups. Frontier, we did not match up with them. So I'm like, I think I was sweating that game more than just much my game. But
so you're rooting for Tri-County.
I can say
then.
it now, you know. But yeah. I mean, we all have our things that we root for. But I just liked how outside of Corbin, I liked how we matched up with Tri-County. I really did. We lost to them by 10 in the regular season, but it was a 3-point game with 4 to go. Where Frontier just annihilated us from the get-go, and every game's different. You know, Twin Lakes will tell you that, but it's still a mental approach you take. So
and that was back early December.
Early, yeah. We still had Brendan Hood at the time. You know, they lost a kid the other day, but we've been without our point guard the whole year. Who was averaging 12 a game for us. So we had Brendan the first game with Tri-County. We didn't have him the second game. We've had 3 months to go without him. Still don't make it any easier. But we zoned West Central the morning game, but it's so hard to rebound out of zones. It's so hard to rebound. You give up a lot of offensive rebounds. So, I'm like, we're going to go man, Corbin. Nate's a mismatch, not from a scoring standpoint, but we don't have a guy that can grab on the perimeter or they grab on the blocks. So we went with Andrew Buswell, who played really well. And they torched us for 19 points in the first quarter. In the championship game, we're down 19-7. And Eric didn't play for Tri-County, so I'm like, we're going to have to start pressing these guys. I was worried about the press with the legs, right? So I think they have 23 points with 5 minutes to go in the game, or in the second quarter. And I think they make 4 field goals the rest of the game. And we just shut them down. And we actually go on a little run, and we're down 27-13. And then we finish the second on a 10-0 run to go 27-23.
Wow.
So I'm like, we're going to go.
Great momentum in it.
Yeah, great momentum. And we talked about, we have to we're down 4, but the pressure has to still. I felt like the pressure had to be on Tri-County all night long, right? So I was like, we're in great shape. We're down 4. We haven't played that well, and we're okay. We're really going to come out and execute the diamond the whole half. Just get after them. But then it's their ball to start the third. So I'm like, one possession, just sitting a 3-2. We haven't ran it in like 2 months. We haven't even practiced it. And I'm like, let's just extend it, though, and see what they do. And they turn it over. So I was like, Coach, we're going to score. We're down 2. And they're like, what do we do? I'm like, we going to go diamond? I'm like, no, stay in the 3. And then they just didn't figure it out. And it could be legs, it could be whatever, but they just didn't figure it out. They made one basket in the second or the third and one basket in the fourth. So we, in the fourth, from being down 27-13 and now being 31-31 starting, or 33-33 starting the fourth. Yeah, it's 33-33. We actually get up 36-33. Both teams only score 5 points in this fourth quarter. And that was designed because
good defense.
Well, it was that, and it was 4 minutes left to go in the game. We had Dane Hood and Artemio Benitez, who had 14 and 13 points, both with 4 fouls. And had Dane fouled out, we would be done. But at that point, they would have really hounded Lucas. We would have been done. So I looked at my assistant, and I'm like, hey, man, I hope you're okay with this, but they're holding the ball at the half-court line with 4:18 to go. We're going to sit in our 3-2, and as long as it's one possession, 1 point, we're in good shape, and Dane's in the game. So I think after that, there's probably like 3 more possessions of the game. And but we were up 36-33 at one time with like 2 to go, a minute 40 to go. I don't know what it was, but it might have been a little more than that. Sorry, but I don't know sure the time. But Artemio Benitez, who had 14 and 10 that game, he gets a great look from 5 feet out. It hits the back of the rim. Nate Corbin tried to take a charge, so he's fading away, hits the back of the rim. Dane gets fouled hard, and Dane's done everything for us all year, but his ankle was bothering him, but he missed 2 free throws there.
When you were up 3.
When we were up 3. So we had 2 possessions there to go up 5. But I'm telling you what, Dane and Artemio, man, those boys just played their hearts out, and I felt for them so bad. But then
Benitez averaged 3.9.
3 and had 14 and 10 that game.
Wow.
6 of 8 shooting.
Is that clutch?
And
Gotta have that though, don't
yeah,
you?
you
Somebody you don't
need to have
expect.
somebody else step up. And but anyways, it's 38-38. We get a stop. We trap them. They turn the ball over. It's like 15 seconds left. I'm debating whether to use a timeout. I don't. Don't second guess that at all. I mean, in my mind, we've had trouble getting the ball in bounds, sideline out of bounds. And I'm like, man, if they were able to shoot the gap and get a steal and go the length of the court, that'd be an awful way to go out like that. So Dane was having no problem with Owen, the Getz boy, was guarding him all night. He had no problems getting by him. So we just went to a 4-low look, and with about 6 to go, since we had double bonus both teams, I didn't want to get called for an over the back foul. So I was like, we're going to win it on a shot or we're going to go to overtime. And, man, Dane took Riley, got by Getz. Riley stepped up. Dane dropped it off in the corner where Lucas was at. I mean, there was no one within 10 feet. It's a tough shot. And Lucas, when it went up, I was like, we're going to cut nets down 2 years in a row. And I just felt that good about it. It's amazing how much the game can slow down still for, And
Sure.
Wow.
I'm watching the ball in the air, and I'm like, it just hits the front of the rim.
Wow.
It just doinks off. And then overtime,
Inches away.
it's a game of inches. That's what I told the boys afterwards. But in overtime, it's 38-38. Dane gets a steal, breakaway. They foul him. He hits both free throws to go up 2. We foul Riley Hughes. And that's the thing, too. We made some dumb fouls. I mean, Riley Hughes got to the line 6 times in the last 5 minutes of the game, and all 6 free throws, he was 20 feet from the basket. I don't know why. Twice we fouled him when he didn't have the ball. I think he went 5 for 8 in the fourth quarter. But they go up 1, and then we shoot a quick shot. And the shot, if the shot goes in, we're up 4 with a minute to go, and ball game. Just, you had to be able to understand the game. Ball game with a minute to go. But it didn't. And then we go down and we get a stop, and then we get called for, we get a rebound. Kid's wrapped around his legs, but he gets rid of it. I'm like, he got fouled, but whatever. But we get called for a controversy travel. It's bang, bang, real quick. It's like 38 seconds left. And we're still up 1, 48 seconds maybe. And then that's when Nate Corbin shoots a 3 about 6 feet behind the line. Literally 6 feet behind the line, and that goes down for me, give him a 2-point lead. We go down, we miss have a nice little 12-footer, miss it. Connor Ross gets the rebound, we foul. They make 1 of their 2, get the defensive rebound. We try to get something like, 3 or 4 seconds left, and we have to go full length of the court and hit a 3. So we try to set a stagger up there around half court for Dane to use a stagger off the dribble.
How much time was left?
I don't know, 3 or 4 seconds.
Wow.
Not much at all, probably less than that. Dane's able to get the ball, advance the ball to half court, and he puts up like a one-hand runner, and it hits off the back of the rim, and we lose 43-40.
Wow.
Coach,
but
a lot, sorry.
What
That's
a way
all
to
right.
finish. What a way to finish the season, man. You
I went
struggled a lot with
and this is the part, like I said, you have to really be able to anything in life, experience things to understand things. And what comes with being a coach. You just know what comes with it. But I told the boys in the locker room, I just wholeheartedly, I'm honest with people, that I had never been proud of a group. We graduated 5 starters. Think about that. We brought back 6 points a game. We told you at the beginning of the year I brought back 1% of my scoring from last year. 1%.
Is that what Dane averaged?
That was, I think he averaged 6, but it was about 1% of what we averaged.
Wow. Wow.
And nobody else played more than 10 minutes of varsity basketball before that.
Total.
And we had the ball in our hands with the last possession of the game. So I just told the boys afterwards, I said, man, I know this hurts. I just know it hurts. But I've just never been so more proud of a group of boys than I've been right now. And the last loss of the season, regardless of what the situation, is hard. So you never know what really to say, but you say what's on your heart. And it was short and sweet. I know the boys, they were wanting some time for themselves, and it was just really rough. And then I woke up Sunday morning, and I texted all the boys and throughout the whole day and just touched base with them and see how they were doing. And it was a really tough day on Sunday. But, I always say, man, sun comes up, and if the sun comes up and you come up,
you're good.
Life's pretty darn good.
There you go.
Well,
Coach, you said
go ahead.
You wanted to touch on, I know we got cut short last week.
Yeah, it's been about a month since I've seen you guys, I think. But, my son is a special needs kid in the West Central Life Skills class. And when we played them a couple weeks back, Jeff Mester, the AD over there, was really awesome. I was scouting on Valentine's night, and he said, hey, Coach, you want to dress Landon? I mean, my son is just automatic from shooting, just everywhere. And I'm like, well, if you guys want to, because they'd already asked if he could play already that year, and I didn't want to be a distraction. So my other boy, Braylon, who plays for us, he goes just 1 quarter JV, 4 varsity, and we haven't been starting him JV. Well, then we get over to West Central that Friday night. Landon's going to dress, and they said, we're going to start him too. So I thought, wow, that's cool. I'm trying to get emotional right now. So I looked at Braylon, my boy for us, and I said, Bud, you're starting JV because both of my boys are going to start together.
Wow.
And what's really cool is they both start. They get a defensive rebound. West Central gets a defensive rebound, and it falls right in Landon's hand, my autistic son. And you see it a lot on ESPN and different things, but he literally dribbles the ball down the court, and he shoots basically a foot inside the three-point line, nothing but net. First shot.
Awesome.
And then, he plays about 2 minutes, and the last shot of the game, he gets back in, like the whole crowd's yelling, we want put Landon in, and they're up by 8, so he puts Landon back in, and they get him a shot, and it just hits the rim and bounces back to their guard. The guard gives it to him, and he shoots it again, and it goes in as the horn going off in the background. So that was just really special that West Central did that, and kudos to them for giving my son the opportunity to do that. So that was special. But I look at the year, and 7-17, I said 8 wins, and people were like, well, what? People have no idea how hard it is to get 12 wins in basketball. It's tough. It is really tough. And you look at our 7 wins, we were up by 15 at North Miami. We lost to Winamac in overtime. We had another game where we were right there. So we basically could have gone 10-13 with a team that had nothing starting the season.
All new, yeah.
So,
have you ever had a team like that you had to start from scratch practically?
No, because I was, a different situation when I came in 5 years ago. We had the senior class as freshmen, but they were little kids. They were skilled, but they were little. So I think we won 9 games my first year, but they were skilled. They weren't physically strong.
You had all 4 years of Hunter Pogue.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But
that's not a bad.
No. But we went. You had that pressure, not so much his freshman year, but his sophomore year, because we had Kale there, and as a coach, you felt like here's this team to win it, and we had a couple rough outs. So like I said, it was, and I told Ryan after the game, I said it before, I know what coaches go through, and people have no idea. And when coaches are genuinely nice and kind, I want it. I want, not at my expense, but what I got to feel last year is special. When it cutting down a net, and I want everyone. And that's what made me hurt for some of my boys this year was they weren't on the team last year. Was like, I know what that feeling is like, and it wasn't for me. It was for these guys, and I was like, get it done. But then after the game, I told Ryan, I said, hey, you're a great guy. He's a really nice guy, and I'm like, don't make it any easier for me right now. I said, but congratulations, and best of luck next week. So nothing to be ashamed of. How could you be ashamed of anything when you lose a championship game in overtime? And we gave the crowd everything they wanted to see that night.
How many seniors were on the squad this year?
We had 6 real quick. That's a lot. We graduated 5, right? We only had 15 kids, so we're going to have a hard time next year. But Lucas Smith, really a first-year starter. He was injured all last year. Played really well in the sectionals and had to carry a lot when Brendan got hurt. Averaged 7 a game and 2 rebounds. Andy Mendevar is the first-time kid ever coming out. He's a all-state soccer player, track kid, wanted to play everything. Came out, never played basketball before. Played all summer stuff with me, and then he got hurt in the first practice of the season.
Oh.
So he didn't get cleared to play until January. So then I was like, bud, I'm going to tell you, if you don't want to play basketball, you're going to play JV as a senior. You've never played before. And he's like, Coach, whatever. I'll play whatever you want me to play. So great attitude. I'm going to miss him. Zach Cook is a kid who was first year. He was homeschooled. He came out this year. Nicest kid you'll ever meet. Nicest kid you'll ever meet. Had a really special senior night where we didn't get a chance to talk about Faith Christian. We beat them on senior night. They're good. But Zach had his best game against Faith Christian. Eli Stearns, 5 points a game. Another kid who waited 4 years to get his opportunity to play. Had 14 against West Central in the morning game. Battled a fever. I mean, I think he was running a fever in between games that it really showed in that championship game. And then Andrew Buswell, kid he's number 1 in the class, like a 5.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale.
Wow.
6'5". I told the kid he doesn't have a mean bone in his body, and I was like, man, you just pretend like someone said something about your mom, get mad. And the last 2 games, he played like he was just possessed. And then Artemio Benitez, who he played as a freshman, got hurt as a sophomore, and out the whole year, decided not to play as a junior. Later on towards ACL. Came back as a senior, and he took it the hardest Saturday night. And he finished the championship game with 14 points and 10 rebounds. So 6 great seniors, great quality kids, and we'll be missed tremendously.
How about the future next year?
Well, we bring Dane Hood back. Dane averaged 14-7, and he averaged 5 steals a game.
That's pretty good to build around, isn't it?
Brendan Hood, his brother, this
Got
goes
hurt,
off
right?
24 points. I mean, he was averaging 12 before he got hurt, tore his ACL, had surgery February 2nd. Should be good to go.
And what class is he in now?
They'll be seniors next year.
Seniors next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cade DeBoer, a wrestler, number 34. He wrestled for 2 years and came out. A great kid. He'll be back. He only averaged 2 a game, but he brought an intensity that we needed at practice. A lot of our kids are pretty soft at practice. Cade was like, you're not going to be soft. My son Braylon, as a sophomore, he kind of stepped up and had to fill a role when Brendan got hurt. He was just JV, and he ended up playing a lot. He ended up shooting 35% from threes on the year. Played great defense. Probably one of the hardest workers we have. One of them. Just everything is a battle with him. Brings a lot of intensity to practice. So those are what we got. The main guys coming back. We'll start working. We have spring break in 2 weeks, and I always tell the boys enjoy 3 weeks because we got to get back at it April 1st.
Last chance to talk to you, Matt. Go over some thank yous. I know you have a lot of people you'd like to acknowledge for their help during the season.
Well, you got to definitely thank the boosters at North White. Our administration has been nothing but supportive. I mean, Greg Browse, the principal, him and Mark Woodcock both kind of talked to me after the game on Saturday. Gave me a lot of good words of encouragement. They've always been supportive of what we need. The board at North White, I just can't thank the administration enough for always taking care of us. My statisticians, Mark Gunther keeping my books. I got to thank Joe Smith and Ron Bonakovich, my coaches. You know, Ron's moved up with us this year, and I thought he was going to retire this year, but he's already told me, Coach, I'm having so much fun with you and Joe that I'm not going anywhere.
That's cool.
Joe Smith lives in Flora. That's a good hour from Monon. And we could have a Saturday practice, an hour and a half walk through, and I'm like, dude, you don't have to come over here. He's like, I signed up for the gig, and I'll have to beg him to stay home, and he's there. And just the different people that really, I always say about sports, high school sports, man, you find out real quick who's real towards the program without saying things. Like who's real when you're up and when you're down, and you find out who's real. And all those people that are North White supporters who support us, good and bad. I thank you. We've had great support. And the last one is my wife. I would tell anybody that when they go to a ball game of any kind, football, basketball, baseball, now when I go as a spectator, I'm just relaxed, man. I'm just relaxed. I just don't know where to put it. I just enjoy a game. But if anybody understood 1/10 of what a spouse goes through, that would just wow. And this is all about my wife, who is every time I'm like, hey, Annette, can I go scout this game? Can I go here? Can I go there? Can I go there? We got little kid camp. We got this. We got that. We got middle school playing tonight.
Coaches are busy.
It's 40 hours a week, November through March, on top of your teaching.
Supportive
So
wife
those,
like that.
and then those are the big thank yous. Obviously, thank you to you guys. Thank you to Arnie's. The food's great. The hospitality's great. You guys are great. Your coverage of North White basketball. There's so many people to thank, but I think I covered most of them. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. And it's just been a fun year. A fun end of the year, and I can't wait to see how we respond, because that's going to be the biggest key. As I thought at different times this year, we lacked a little energy, we lacked a little hunger, and maybe this puts a taste in our mouth to where when we start back in April, that these guys are ready to get back at it.
Well, Matt, we sure enjoy you coming over each week. I know sometimes it's hard to talk when you're not successful all the time, but you were here every week, and by golly, we're going to get to North White one of these years and live stream some basketball games. So hopefully that'll be next year.
Sounds good. We appreciate it. Thank you. Guys have a good year.
Thanks,
Matt
Coach.
Sipkema from the North White Vikings. Back with more of the Coach's Cage, our final one until August, right after this.
Hi, this is Chuck Clark with the Underwood Insurance Agency, formerly Preferred Insurance Group. Are you tired of being sacked every month with your auto insurance bill? Do you feel you just pay your premium to your agent and never hear from them? We at the Underwood Insurance Agency work with over 10 insurance carriers to get you our best rate and coverage we can, and we pride ourselves on serving our customers like they are our family. We are conveniently located in Remington and Lafayette. We can be reached at underwoodagency.com. Reach out to us to score big savings.
Working with our customers has been Kentland Bank's trademark for 87 years. We're dedicated to making your visit a lasting one, and helping you achieve your goals is our #1 priority. With 5 locations, Kentland Bank offers all loans needed for today's businesses and families, including car loans, mortgages, agriculture, and commercial loans. We're here to make your busy life less hectic by offering online and mobile banking, bill pay, and P2P payments. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. After a hard day's work or play, it's time for some relaxation, and there's no better place than Unwind on Front Street in Rensselaer. For massage therapy, facials, spray tanning, yoga classes, and wellness, stop by Unwind. They also offer student athletes 30-minute massages for $25. Alina would like to thank Unwind's loyal customers for their patronage since 2016. To make an appointment, call Unwind at 219-869-0290.
Welcome back to the 3KG Coach's Cage show here, live from Arnie's Pizzeria in Rensselaer. Come join us. We're just getting started here, and what better way to go here and turn it over to Coach Ryan Harrington of the victorious Strike County Cavaliers. We got a sectional winner.
It's a good
here,
ring
huh?
in March, isn't it, to say victorious coach, right?
No kidding. We had a couple coaches just lost out, heartbreakers, but we got one with playing next week, playing on Saturday. So that's what it's all about.
How you feel?
Amazing. I mean, what else do you work for, you know? I mean, we came, I think the first time I came here, I told you guys at the beginning of the year, like, kind of that was our goal, right? Win a sectional title. I mean, you know, we wanted to get a piece of that conference as well, but as soon as we kind of knew that, you know, at least it was out of our hands as far as we needed some other teams to beat people, that became our focus the rest of the season. And, you know, couldn't be prouder of this group of boys because they really came together. Can talk about this group of seniors, the 4 seniors. Up until this season, the most wins they had in their 4-year career on the varsity was only 6. So
wow.
Getting to 12 wins and getting to win that sectional title,
sending
them out.
History.
Yeah, it really special night for us. And again, that's something we talked to them about. We knew with it getting postponed to Saturday, all day Saturday, we came in and practiced a little bit Friday night, even with that bad weather, and we walked down to our Athletic Hall of Fame where we've got pictures there of all the champion teams, and we sat there and we pointed out all 8 of the previous sectional champions, and then we went to the blank spot at the end and said, "Hey boys, this can be our spot. We can be a part of that," and they pulled it off. So it's a really special night for us.
Why don't you take us through the whole sectional briefly?
Yeah, so we got with the draw, we knew we had the bye, so we were kind of waiting there Tuesday night to see Caston Frontier play. And again, really tough game there between those 2 teams, pretty evenly matched teams. Caston early on really struggled to score. They only scored 8 points in the first half. They were down 25-8 at halftime, and our boys are sitting there like, well, we're playing Frontier, right? And I looked at them, I said, hey, I've watched Caston. They could come back here. And Caston, to their credit, really stormed back, ended up tying up the game even at one point. But, Frontier was able to kind of hold on there late and secure the victory. So that's who we matched up with at the beginning of Saturday, and we were that first game Saturday morning. So, again, a team that earlier in the season we had played at their place, really tough game, 41-39, only winning by 2, and Riley Hughes kind of gave us the lead in that game really late with less than a minute left. It was deadlocked at 39, and then we were able to hold on. So we knew, again, it was going to be a tough team. They had several seniors.
They got one really great player,
One
right?
really great player, Dayton Hoover, who's, again,
a senior, hopefully?
He was a senior, yeah, and as far as players in the sectional and in our conference, I mean, he's right there at the top of the list. I mean, you can take your pick of who you think is the best, but he's definitely in the conversation for that role. And, he played to that level as well Saturday morning. He scored 33 points for them. So
and they only scored how many?
They only scored 54, and he scored 33. So, I mean, we really struggled to stop him. We tried a lot of different things. Late in the game, we kind of held him a little bit. I say kind of, but he still went off in that fourth quarter for him. And,
What are you doing in a situation like that? Are you switching up defenders?
Yeah, well, the first half we played him strictly man. We came out all man-to-man. We had Will Getz with the assignment on him. And, what I haven't mentioned here is, Wednesday in practice we had an unfortunate injury and we lost Eric Zarzi for the season with a broken hand. So that kind of set us back as far as the week goes.
Starting point guard, right?
Starting point guard, probably arguably one of our, if not the best defender we have, and guy that earlier in the year when we played Frontier, he held Hoover to 2 points in the fourth quarter, and that was the only time he really got to guard him. So, heading into that game, that was what we fully planned to do, was put Zarzi on him, but plans change. So
he broke his hand in practice.
Broke his hand in practice. Just kind of a freak accident, something that could have happened at any point. It was no one's fault. Just kind of jumping up, goes to catch himself, comes down awkwardly, and
did you see it? No, I'm
sure. I saw it. It
wasn't good, huh?
It was probably the longest second of my life or so. He's falling, just holding your breath, knowing nothing good can come of this, and obviously, unfortunately, that's what came to pass. But
he had a tremendous season too.
He did. I mean,
7.9 points a game. Led you in assists with over 3.
Yeah.
Led you in steals.
That's
right there.
Right there with Ross. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. As far as we knew, he was a huge loss, and a guy that just a calming force at times for us. He's one of the few guys on this team that's been playing varsity since he was a freshman. So he's a junior, but this is his 3rd year of varsity playing time. So
I'm glad
really,
he's a junior, so he don't
well
go out
agreed, and I guess that's the thing. The doctor said it's broken in line right now, and so they don't want to risk anything. But I think there's a huge credit to the whole team for rallying around him. And a huge credit for Eric. I mean, I know obviously he wants to be out there, but I think he handled it as well as any kid could. And that's what we talked to him about before the game even, we get an opportunity to play today, and we've got people in this room who would love to play, and they can't. So, don't take for granted the opportunity to play here. And, I got to give a lot of credit to our boys because they didn't take it for granted. And, I mentioned Will Getz drew the assignment then of Garden Hoover, and Obviously, Will would be the first to tell you, even he struggled a little bit, but offensively, Will Getz played the best game he's ever played in his varsity career. He scored 13 points for us, and they were timely points. Like at one point in the fourth quarter, Hoover gets an and one to bring them within 3 and kind of get all the momentum, because actually what happened on the play is Nate Corbin fouled out with 5 fouls. And, he's our leading scorer.
He fouled out of your game, and
Nate
so you're
fouled
missing 2 starters now.
So yeah, they were down 2 starters, and again, our leading scorer and our second and our third leading scorer. And this is the fourth quarter, and you could tell Frontier thought, we're going to win this now. Sure. They had all the momentum. Their crowd was into it. Their bench was fired up, and Hoover makes the free throw, and we inbound the ball. We get it down the floor. We get it to Will Getz, and he just puts his head down, drives straight to the rim, and he draws an and one himself. And that just kind of, and it was one of those things that it's just so timely and just so important, and a play that a senior makes. And if I put on film of him as a freshman on the JV, you would think there's no way this kid can make a play like that. So he's come just such a long way, and I told him after the game how proud I was of his offensive performance. I said, that's the best game I've seen you play. And he did. The first thing he said to me was, but my defense was terrible. So
did he take it personal? And
I mean, a little bit, but at the same time, I told him, man, no one was stopping
maybe
no one was stopping
Hoover
today. So a lot of credit to him. And again, a game like that, just back and forth. And what the real difference, we talked about it most of the season, free throws were a problem for us, and thankfully we seemed to kind of gotten over that hump. We were 18 of 26, which still isn't great, but again, over 50%, and
57% on the season.
Yeah, 57 on the season. So there you go. But again, mentioning Will Getz, he was 7 of 8 at the free throw line in that first game against Frontier. And in a game you only win by 2 points, you need all of those free throws, because it gives us confidence as well.
So how'd the game end?
So it ends up, they end up with the ball with only 10 seconds left. We're up 2.
Yeah, okay.
We're up 2, and they got a sideline inbounds, and we're telling them, well, be ready for Hoover to catch it.
Sure.
And that's what we were kind of concerned about. But then they get out there, and Hoover's the one taking it out, and there's not enough time left on the clock to do too much. So we're just letting the guys know, hey, be ready, shooter's coming back in. He's probably going to pass it, step in, and be ready to let her fly. But they ran a set for Schroeder, their big guy on the inside, number 22, to get a look at the rim, and they inbounded it to him, and he turned and kind of put his shoulder and a power dribble into Connor Ross, and Connor fell right down. They called a charge. It was our basketball. 2 seconds left. We inbound it. Kobe touches it, takes 2 dribbles, and the time expires before they can get a foul on us. So,
wow.
I mean, pretty intense ending there.
You think they threw it to the big guy because Nate was fouled out? Or?
Probably. I mean, and again, and it was an opportunity for them to force overtime. I mean, I guess the way the game was going, if I was in that situation, I may have thought about taking a 3 just from a standpoint of as back and forth as it was. And, again, Dayton Hoover, their best player, he was hitting a lot of 3s. So that's what I was, as a coach, I was, kind of worried about. But, heads up play by Connor Ross to be able to take that contact. And, again, just these kids being really coachable and listening to us. You go in the locker room after the game and look at the scouting report. The very top of the thing for Schroeder, all in bold, says take the contact and take a charge. So, it's a ton of credit to the kids for paying attention to those things, those small details, and then executing them. That's the difference between winning and losing in those tight games. And talk about how we've been on a good winning streak here. Those are the things we've been doing. We've been doing those little things to execute late, and once we bought ourselves a chance for that championship game, anything's possible. And so
who else played well for you? Did we go over all the points?
So I mentioned Will Getz had a really great game, but obviously with a player like Eric going down, we needed to have a lot of guys have a great game. So Riley Hughes was great for us. He scored 10 points. Kobe Baylor was really hot from 3. He hit 4 threes, scored 17 points. And then Connor Ross with 6. And I mentioned again Nate Corbin, our leading scorer. He only had 8 points with all his foul trouble, so he didn't play very much in that early game. But we told him, if we're going to find any positives to this, you're going to be well rested here for the championship game. So that's what we tried to get him to understand. And again, I mentioned all those guys. There's one other guy that scored a bucket, and that was Ian Brooks off the bench, because Ian Brooks had to play a ton of minutes with the foul trouble that Nate was in. And Ian Brooks is a guy that on the season, there's some games where he didn't play at all. And then there's some games, the first time we played North White, he played a ton of minutes and was huge for us. And again, in this Frontier game, he played, I think I had him for 29 minutes played. I mean, he played a ton of the game. And he just was in the right place at the right time. He knows his role. He's a solid defender, good rebounder, and great at passing the ball to his teammates. And there at the end of the third quarter, he happened to be the guy open under the basket, and he had 0 varsity points coming into that game. And we found him, and Frontier got a good contest, but he scored right as time expired for his first varsity bucket. And again, in a game you go on to win by only 2 points. Those are plays that matter. So
absolutely,
ton of credit to him. And I mean, that was really exciting. I said to him, that's a heck of a time to score your first varsity points in a sectional game. So really exciting for him.
Well, we heard the North White perspective for the championship game. Let's hear yours now.
Yeah, and I feel for Matt, because I knew whoever came out of that game on the losing end, it was going to be painful, because it was a great game. I mean, a ton of credit to North White. They played an incredible game. I thought they had a great game plan. I thought their players really played hard. And, again, it's a game that just comes down to a couple possessions, and we were fortunate enough to come out on top. So, early on, we kind of jumped out to a lead on them, got it to like 12. But, I was just struggling, I guess, figuring out the best rotations without Eric out there. And I didn't really sub much in that first half at all. And you could really tell there towards the end of that second quarter when our legs were getting really heavy, and North White made a big run on us to cut it, make it close there at halftime. And, we talked to the boys about, hey, we're only, a couple minutes. We got two quarters here.
Yeah,
and
from 14 points to 10 points.
Yeah.
A 4-point lead.
Yeah, and again, that's just, I think a lot of that was our legs. Like I said, Riley Hughes, our point guard, had a couple of turnovers there, and he played every minute of both of those games on Saturday. And
that's a lot.
That's a lot. And so did Kobe Baylor. But with Riley having to handle the ball handling duties, that was a tall order for him. And he had a few turnovers where he just tried to do too much, and he honestly just kind of fell over because his legs were heavy. And we tried to explain to him, don't try to do it all. You don't have to get open constantly with your ball handling. Pass it, cut, and it'll be a lot easier for you. So,
did you guys have any input as to who made that call that it was going to be 3 games on a Saturday as opposed to taking it to Monday?
I don't know if that was the host site's choice, to be honest with you. When we had our sectional meeting the week before, we knew that was the contingency plan. So it wasn't a surprise for us. I'm not sure, though, what all goes into that specifically, because obviously some sectionals, they just played those semifinal games on Saturday, went to the championship on Monday. But as tough as it was playing 2 games in one day, I think for us that was the best thing. And I told the boys that. As a former cross country and still current track coach, I felt like our boys were probably in as good a condition as anybody. That's what I told them. I said, we better be in good shape. We better be ready to play these games. Now, obviously, with our rotations and not having as many guys, that was going to hurt us. But every team was in the same boat. North White had really heavy legs the whole game too. And that's what we told the boys. You just mind over matter. You're not as tired as you think you are. That's what we tried to explain.
Easy for you to say, right?
I get that. That is easy for me to say, but they've put in all the work though all season long. We don't take it easy on them in practice, and that's what we just tried to help explain to them was, you guys have put in all the work. You've put in all the practice. You are ready for this, and again, they were able to hold on there. The second half was really tight. In the third quarter, we scored 6 points. In the fourth quarter, we scored 5. And in overtime, we scored 5. So, I mean, it was not easy. That's 16 points after halftime, whereas the first quarter, we came out and scored 15. So, a ton of credit to North White. They came out in that 3-2 and really extended it on us, and we were struggling to get open at times. And, then they're late in the fourth quarter. We were able to secure a 1-point lead, and we came down, and North White wasn't extending their zone quite as much. And I told our boys after watching the morning game, North White West Central, I felt like West Central lost that because they weren't patient enough offensively late in the game. And we had talked to the boys about that. So once we had that 1-point lead and North White went back in their zone a little bit, we just decided, well, we're going to hold it. And, obviously, if
literally just hold it.
We did, yeah. I mean, and they had to come out and, guard us. And once they did, we were willing to play, but they didn't come out for a long time. And
Because they were in foul trouble.
They were in foul trouble, absolutely. But again, I think both teams were exhausted too.
Sure.
I mean, that's the thing. That's
Not used to that.
It's not used to that. 2 games in one day, and it's tiring, and it's hard. It's mentally exhausting, and and I told them too. I've been lucky throughout my career when I was a player of having good coaches, and one of the coaches I had spent a lot of time with Mike Hall and Steve Stitz. He was an assistant when I played, and
Name's very familiar.
Yes.
Steve
And
Stitz, boy,
Bill's favorites there.
Yeah,
defensive guru.
And I told my assistant coach knew right away. Chad Burns got kind of mad at me because Chad's an offensive guy. Chad wants to score. And you could see Chad at the end of the bench when we were holding the ball. Chad is he's hurting. He did not like it.
He owns that baseline.
He was struggling, and I went over to him afterwards, and he was giving me kind of a dirty look, and he said to me, Steve Stitz, and I said, yep, because when I played, and I've told him this before, and Steve would always say to us in practice, you give me a 1-point lead in the ball, and I'll give you a win. I don't care how much time's left on the clock. So we had a 1-point lead in the ball, and I told Chad, I said I could just hear Steve screaming in my ear. We had to hold it a little bit there. So, kind of credit to some of those former coaches, and I'm sure he'd get a kick at hearing that. But again, we hold it there, and eventually after about 2.5 minutes or so, they start guarding us. So we start playing, and we kind of got lucky. They fouled Riley Hughes then, so. Holding the ball that long didn't come to bite us because, if we hold it for 2.5 minutes and North White's able to get a steal, then suddenly it's like, well, what did we just do? Why weren't we being aggressive? So, luckily it played out in our favor.
Riley was clutch.
Riley was clutch. He hit a free throw then to give us a 2-point lead. Then they go down and, they hold it themselves for a little bit to get down a little closer to the end of the game. And, the Hood boy gets in there, Dane, and he gets a really good little floater there in the middle of the lane, knocks it down to tie it up at 38. And then there was still some time left, and we had an opportunity to potentially, take the lead there. And we kind of did the same thing. We held it until about 10 seconds left, and then I'm like, okay, let's attack. Let's try to get a shot. And Will Getz catches it in the paint, and it looks like maybe he's going to get a good shot. And the one thing I wish he would have done was shot fake. He caught it in the paint, went straight up for it, and I couldn't tell you who it was, but one of those North White boys got a great block straight off the backboard, and they get the rebound, and then they get an opportunity to score, and so then they're going down, and obviously that you don't want to give Dane a really good look because he's their best player, leading scorer. And
did they call timeout or just went with it?
They went with it, and they give him a screen at the top, and he starts driving in. Riley Hughes decides to step up to try to help off of Lucas Smith, and man, he had a wide open shot in the corner, and I'm sure Matt told you I thought he was hitting it. I mean, I really did. I was holding my breath. My heart had to have stopped for a second there, but luckily it didn't go down. And then once we went to overtime, I was feeling pretty decent. Great opportunity, and we win the tip, and Will Getz instantly drives right into the paint and looks to kick it out to Kobe Baylor, and unfortunately we turned it over like right away. So, it's just kind of back and forth, kind of an ugly overtime. Ends up we get a shot that misses, and Nate Corbin gets an offensive rebound and gets fouled and gets to go to the free throw line to shoot 2, and he only makes 1 of 2. So then we only have a 1-point lead. And they go down, and they were doing a good job of scoring as far as, again, we fouled Hood, and he hit his free throws. And unlike Nate, he hit both of his. So they get a 1-point lead then. And then I think both teams had a possession or 2 in there because we went down. They get it from us. Lucas gets another wide open 3 for them that I know. For us, we were happy he took it. If you're a North White fan, you probably think maybe he shouldn't have. They're up 1 there. But we do a good job of securing the rebound. Again, go down. Their zone defense, we just couldn't break through, really. And we get it to Nate at the high post. He finds Connor on the baseline, hits Connor, kind of bounces off his foot. They are able to get a steal, Buswell is, and he kicks it to Dane right away, and Connor kind of falls into Buswell right after he passes it. And Dane catches it, and Nate's right there. And Nate's going to wrap him up, which Nate had already had 4 fouls. So I'm sitting there like, okay, here we go. We're about to lose our best player. And I don't know where we're going to get offense. And I think, Dane just panicked a little bit, and he shuffled his feet, and they called the travel for us, and thankfully we get the ball out of bounds and under our hoop, so I call a timeout and just try to calm everybody down, draw up a play for us, and as soon as we get the ball inbounded, the play really was to get a look on the inside, because again, we're only down 1 point. We don't really need anything besides a 2.
Let me guess, the opposite happens.
Well, we've talked all year about one of my players that,
yes,
as a coach, that it's like you need to get inside, you need to stop shooting threes. And of course, I got to come here and I got to eat my words because we inbounded it to Will Getz, and Nate's on the opposite side with his hands up, and you can tell he wants it, and Will passes it to him, and he just takes one sidestep dribble, pulls up, and everybody in the gym had to be holding their breath. I mean, I know I was thinking, what are you doing? And
1 point down.
And he buries it, nothing but net. I mean, buries it. It was bottom of the net. There was no doubt at all. And, I mean, the gym exploded.
No, yay. Right?
Yes. And the funny thing is we watched it on film as a team on Monday, and one of our other seniors, JP Shimmerhorn, we gave him a hard time because you can see our bench. It's right in front of our bench, obviously, and everybody on the bench is just watching, like frozen. But JP's on the end, and he's the one guy that kind of puts his hands up like, what are you doing? So I kind of paused it and looked at JP and was like, did you not think that he was going to make that? Like, what are you doing? Just giving him a hard time because all of us were thinking the same thing, like, oh, man, what are you doing? But, again, he hits it nothing but net. And
how much time was left then for that?
About a minute and a half. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, again, as back and forth as it was, as tight as a game as it was, that kind of just blew the lid off as far as our crowd was 110% into it. And you could tell, I mean, as a North White fan, that was a tough to deal with. It just is, again, it just really deflating if that happens to you when you've played such great defense, because they really had. I mean, we couldn't get anything on him, and just for him to pull up, because he wasn't even like right on the line. It was a decently deep three. And
NBA three, yeah.
Yeah, and to hit it nothing but net, I mean, there's not much you can do. So, they got a couple of good looks that could have potentially tied it or given them the lead, but we were fortunate they didn't make it. The one, Stearns got a good look there, driving inside. Nate had a great contest on the shot though, and he had to shoot it really high, and it ended up being an air ball. And Connor Ross got the rebound, and they fouled him right away. And so then it's like, okay, well, we talk about not being a good free throw shooting team. Connor Ross is our worst free throw shooter too, so he's going to the line with about 10 seconds left there to shoot 2 free throws, and we're only up 2. So, of course he buries the first one. And, I'll be honest, I had the utmost confidence in Connor when he went to the line. And I told that to my AD, Jeff, and Jeff said, well, you may have been the only one in the gym because everybody else was nervous. But talking to the coaching staff again, we just knew how much time Connor spent this year shooting free throws. That's something we've worked on all year with him, and the results don't always pan out every single game, but you can see a difference in how he shoots it. His shot's a lot more smooth. He doesn't pull the ball behind his head anymore. He's keeping it in front, and his form's about as perfect as it can get. Just sometimes he tenses up a little bit, and he's just got to learn to stay calm. But once he hit the first one, I was feeling really good, and he missed the second one. They pull down the rebound and, go down. They get it. They call a timeout, and then, again, about 8 seconds left. They gotta go the length of the floor, and they gotta get a 3 to tie it. So we just had to get a good contest, and we did. We talked to them about, we don't want to foul a jump shooter, that's for sure.
Did you ever consider fouling away from the ball? Or
we talked about it, and there's been times this year where I have had them do that when we've been up 3. I've said we want to foul here. But I didn't want to do it in this instance because I wasn't confident that if they made their first free throw and missed the second, that we would get the rebound.
I see.
In the past, when I've said to do it, I'm like, well, we're going to get this rebound, no doubt. But, again, a ton of credit to North White. And, really the Benitez kid, he was pulling down everything. He was getting every rebound, and he was getting and ones, all night long. I think he had 2 or 3 of them. So I didn't want any part of giving them that opportunity. I just wanted them, if they bury a 3 and we go to another overtime, then that's a lot of credit to them. But I didn't want to, foul them and maybe set up that situation. So, in this instance, I didn't want to because the boys said it. They said, should we foul? And I was like, no, I don't think we want to here. Just play it out. And, it ended up being the right move. Dane got a shot there, probably about the volleyball line, and it did hit the rim. I mean, it wasn't that far off, but it bounced off the rim, and time expired, and we had won. So, really exciting moment for us.
Well, when that time hit 0, the buzzer went off. What were you thinking? What were your feelings?
I just pure joy. Accomplishing something you spent a long time working for is always really special. And for myself, I never got to win a sectional as a player. I came back. I was helping coach. I was on staff for that 17 sectional champion team, but that was my first year as a coach. I had come on as freshman coach that year. So to be honest, I don't want to take away from a sectional title, but I didn't necessarily feel like I contributed to it. I came in and I was a part of the team, but they were already a really good team even before I got there. And so to win one like this, where I've been here with these boys all 4 years, watch them grow, watch them develop and become the players they are now and the young men they are. It's truly a special feeling.
Awesome.
And and I told them, because I've told them before, I won 3 track sectionals, but man, I would have loved to win a basketball sectional, and so, one of them asked me afterwards, they're like, well, you won that basketball sectional, how does it feel? I'm like, well, to be honest, I'm like, it's not the same as a coach, because, you boys only get 4 years to do this. So I told them I'm just really happy for them, because, obviously winning one as a coach your first year is pretty cool, but these boys only get 4 years to try to do this. And again, these seniors especially have been through some really tough times. So for them to all rally together and win. I mean, again, we've mentioned, Nate Corbin quite a bit here. Really special guy for us, a really big leader. A lot of double-doubles on the year, led us in points.
What a smooth player for his
really,
size.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Probably our best shooter, too, obviously, hitting that 3. And, he struggled in the sectional. He only scored 10 in the championship game, but, he did what he had to do. And most of the season, he's been our steady force. Again, Will Getz for us came up huge in that semifinal game. He only scored 6 in the championship, but the defense was definitely there in the championship, and having to handle the ball a little more than he was used to, and continuing to improve in that area. And then our other 2 seniors I haven't mentioned much were J.P. Shimmerhorn. Again, kind of a role player for us, but there have been times this year where he's been very vital to us and giving us, guys a break, or, even just mentioning how important he is in practice and giving us a really good scout player that can help us out.
I remember our games that we did with you. He always was in that rotation. And
yeah.
He's solid when he got
He
out
is.
there.
He's solid, and again, he gave us a couple minutes there in that second half, having to guard Benitez, and, statistically it's not always there, but again, sometimes when you're in the right place defensively and just keeping your guy from getting it, you're not going to get those stats. And then our fourth one is Sammy Bungeon, and Sammy is really special to me. Sammy's the smallest guy on the team, but he's the heart and soul of the team. If you watched our bench all year long, Sammy's the first guy up. He's the guy firing everybody up. As far as a kid, he really wants to be a part of this, and you could tell. Again, he's willing to do whatever it takes. He understands, hey, sometimes my role is just firing up the guys on the bench, but that's an important role, and he does it. And then other times, like in the early game against Frontier, I knew he could guard some of Frontier's guards, so he was in playing against Frontier and making plays for us, and just being a steady force, and again, just kind of that emotional force for us, especially on the bench. And I spend a lot of time with Sammy as a teacher. I teach 6 different classes, and he's in 3 of them. So I spend a lot of my days with Sammy, and just a really special kid that is definitely going to be missed next year, because, again, those emotional leaders that, it doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but that makes a big difference when you get that momentum, get the crowd engaged, and, he's not just getting our bench fired up. There's times where he's getting the student section fired up, and, those are just kind of those things that sometimes go unnoticed by people, but they make a big difference in having a successful program.
We're going to talk about Saturday coming up in a little bit, but I want to talk, since our last show of the year, let's talk about next year. What do you hope to accomplish next year?
Well, the bar's kind of been set, right? I mean, we won a sectional, so we'd love to repeat, but we've got a lot of pieces coming back. I think we've got a good opportunity even again in the conference to compete for a conference title. And then, like I just mentioned, a sectional title again. And, I would say definitely our goals would be to get over 500 now that we've gotten there. We'll see what happens Saturday, but if we could finish the regular season over 500 with that group that we've got coming back, I think it'd be really special. So
you'll have how many starters? 3? 4?
Yeah, depending on 4 that have started a lot of the year. Again, Will and Connor have kind of gone back and forth whether they've started. Now with Eric out, they both start. But we'll have 4 that have started quite a few games, and then again
with a lot of experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned, Eric Sarzi's played since he was a freshman on the varsity. Kobe Baylor, this is his second full year playing. Riley Hughes, this is his second full year, but he's only a sophomore. So he was playing last year on the varsity as a freshman. So he'll be back. Again, Connor Ross. And then another junior that'll be a senior next year, Ian Brooks, who comes off the bench and is just a really great role player for us and just knows his job. And then when you look down at the JV, we've got some pieces that
they had a pretty good year, didn't they?
They did, yeah, absolutely. Winning record, and it was 5 freshmen and 2 sophomores that played the majority of their minutes. There's a couple other guys in that mix, but you got some guys like Grayson Schneider, Noah Dollenberg in that sophomore class that could kind of step in and help us. Both really good scorers. And Grayson's a really good shooter, and he's a lefty, and that's always just kind of a different element that's nice to have. And then we've got those 5 freshmen that are really talented, and Tyler Burns, Clayton Atkinson, and then we've got the triplets, the 3 Fosters, Trey, Nick, and Drew Foster. So
nice to have triplets on your team.
It is. that definitely helps. So just
say Foster.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've got some pieces at that level that they won't all move up next year necessarily, which we've talked to them about. Hey, there's gonna be a lot of competition. We've got some openings moving into next season, but as we move to this off season, you boys are gonna have to be ready to get in the gym this summer if you want an opportunity to play at that next level. Because there's only so many spots, and we got a lot of guys that if they put in the work, they could definitely grab those spots.
Tell us about the regional coming up. But where is it? When is it?
So
we play and all that stuff.
We'll move up. We'll go up to Triton. We'll go up there tomorrow to practice, and then Saturday's when our game is. The game's at 1 up at Triton, and we'll play Marquette Catholic.
Just a 1 game.
Just a 1 game regional. Yep. So we win that, we're regional champions. So.
What do you know about them?
They're a really good team. I think they got 17 wins, and they have 9 seniors on their team. So
wow.
Yeah, very senior laden team. They pretty much, I think they play all seniors and like 1 sophomore, and then They have 1 really good player who's signed to play at Manchester next year. Jason Kobe is his name. He averages a little over 19 a game, so he's a really good player. And then they got another guy, number 12, the Ballings kid, who averages a double-double on the season. So he averages over 10 points and 10 rebounds. And then they even have a third boy who averages over 10 points per game. So, they're really kind of a 3-headed monster that we're going to have to shut down. And, they're a team that really likes to get out in transition. So we're going to have to slow the game down, which, I've talked to the boys about. We got to play our game. And, if we keep them down in the 40s, then we absolutely have a chance. That may be a tall order for us. We're definitely going to have to score points. But if we let a team like that get into the 70s, we're just, we won't be able to compete. So that's what we really have to focus on the defensive end and, just limiting possessions in general and executing when we have the basketball. And I told the boys I don't think there's any reason why we can't come out with a win. They are a really good team, but, we've played some bigger schools this year that I think, are kind of very similar to them, even though Marquette obviously is at that 1A level.
How do you want the game called? Close or let them play?
I would say with my situation, let's let them play, because if Nate Corbin's in foul trouble again, we can't really afford that. But it is what it is. We've talked to some of these younger boys who haven't really necessarily gotten a lot of varsity minutes that, hey, you got to be ready to go. If we get in foul trouble, we don't have a choice. We're going to have to play some of you guys, and it's only 1 game. So if you come out and have a good game, then we're in good shape. And again, going back to what we talked about before that sectional title and getting your place in school history, we've told them now, hey, we did it. You're the 9th in school history. It's been, we've only been in school for about 50 years, and
still no regional champions.
Still no regional champions. So
open up there for you guys.
Exactly. That's what we said. We're like, we won a girls' regional championship, but never a boys. So we've got those banners in the gym too. And I pointed over and said they're gonna have to put up a whole new banner if we win the regional championship. So, I'm excited for it. I hope the boys are, and
It'd be sweet to see 2022-23.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So
Wow.
great opportunity for us, and again, we kind of an opportunity to right some wrongs of the past as far as we've gone up to Triton quite a bit. I think since 2006, I think every one of those regionals has been at Triton, because I've been at every single one of them, either as a fan or as a coach. So
it's a pretty long trip.
It's a long drive, and unfortunately, some of those years come to mind where we lost to Oregon Davis on a buzzer beater and stuff. But even then, going back to that 2015 regional, we made it to the championship game, and we played Marquette Catholic and lost to them by 9 that year. So it's a team we've played before in the regional, and again, I just think it's a great opportunity for us. When you get it down to one game, anything can happen.
Sure.
So.
Hey, you almost beat Lafayette Jeff when you went there back in the old days.
Yeah.
In 1993.
Yeah, that's that. Chad will tell you about that one. I've heard that story from Chad and Mark quite a few times.
Played the Jefferys.
Yeah. Yep.
Was not fair.
Yep. So
Well,
that's when working with Mark Grettencourt and Chad Burns, I've heard my fair share of those stories, obviously. So, again, just really excited for what we can do here.
Ryan, thanks a lot. I appreciate it very much. And anything else for him?
Well, give Ryan a chance to make his thank yous
Okay,
if you want,
yeah.
'cause we won't be back here next week.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll forget people, but obviously a lot of thanks to just the whole community, because we had great fans, and I think it was pretty special seeing some of those people out there that myself, former players even that have played for me as JV and varsity players when helping Mark, and former classmates, and even just some of the students that came out and supported us, or some students that you don't always see at sporting events. So I thought that was really special, and just kind of speaks to what our boys on the team have done and the relationships they've built with kids at the school. And obviously I got to thank our all of our administrators for giving me the opportunity to coach these boys, being my first year, and the job opening up kind of late. It was a unique opportunity as a JV coach to be able to step in, and I was thrilled at the opportunity, and couldn't be happier, obviously, with how it's all worked out. And I've just been really thankful and grateful that I've had this opportunity to be coaching these boys this year. So
we love your enthusiasm and your loyalty to our show, and having you here every week has just been wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It's
Well, thank you guys too for having us, because I know I always appreciate getting to come up here, get the free food, and talk to you guys about basketball. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. That's for sure.
Ryan, we appreciate it. Good luck. All right.
Thank you.
Ryan Harrington from the Tri-County Cavaliers, who are still playing Saturday in regional play. Back with more. The Coach's Cage, our final one, right after this.
In agriculture, preparation is important. Dedication is you deciding what to plant and then asking what it will take for a good crop. How much work will it take to produce the final crop? In sports, preparation is vital in becoming the best you can be. Dedication is a will of achievements for a winning desire. Corbett Farms encourages everyone to do their best by having a winning spirit, attitude, and achievement. Your positivity will make a difference. Corbett Farms is proud to sponsor high school sports.
Founded in 1931, Community State Bank in Brook is your community bank. We specialize in relationship banking while offering the technology required to meet your modern banking needs. Community State Bank is the area leader in new construction loans and home mortgages. Our lenders know small business and have products to meet your farm and business needs. We're available to get to know you and your needs today at 224 West Main in Brook, or by calling 219-275-2441.
Meet you at Arnie's, Rensselaer's go-to pizza, and so much more. Pizza, sandwiches, burgers are here. Don't forget about dessert. Wings, cheese sticks, garlic bread too. Arnie's pizza menu has something for everyone. Dine in or carry out in the best pizza in town. Located across from St. Joseph's College in Rensselaer. Call 219-866-9999 and meet You at Arnie's.
Reinforcements Designs is a full-service graphic design, screen printing, and sign shop. They offer logo designs, screen printing, banners, signs, vehicle lettering and graphics, airbrushing, vinyl letterings, digital printed graphics, freehand engraving, and more. 37 years of design and graphics, Reem Bontrager will help you come up with a customized project of your ideal or plan. Just ask, give Reinforcements Design a call at 219-866-8626 for your next graphic design project.
And welcome back to our final Coach's Cage show here of this sports season, I should say. We're back in middle of August for football, but
we'll have some abbreviated baseball, softball schedule, but
we're limited. They have to have a press box, and we can set up high, so that eliminates
it's
a lot of the schools.
I remember you guys coming out with the van out at South Newton.
We did, yeah. We used to broadcast from the van.
Yeah.
Of course, that with a video, that doesn't work too much anymore.
Now that we've added the video, we're spoiled. We don't want to go back. It's just so much better to be able to see it and can't make liars out of us anymore.
That's right. No, you can't. So anyway, that's coming up in April. So just stick tuned to our web page, and
we'll get those dates.
We'll also have on Facebook when the time comes. So, but we're wrapping up the Rebel basketball season. I know, Ricky, since we last talked to you, you've had a couple wins, right?
We did.
Let's get the sectional out of the way first. Talk about that.
Sectional
game.
first?
Yeah.
Okay, let me fast forward.
Yeah.
So we got the draw. We thought it was a pretty good one. We were hoping that we would have West Central, North White combination on our side of the bracket, and then have Cass and Frontier and Tri-County at the other half, which that's how it turned out. Only thing better would have been the bye, waiting on North White and West Central for us, but we liked our draw. We thought we could be pretty competitive. Going into the game, I'm trying to think what day that was. We played on Tuesday, but I'm pretty sure that Corbin Cruz, he did not play in that game, but I think he got sick Monday. So got sick Monday, and we're like, here we go. This is how it's been all year. Every week, I think we've talked already, every week we haven't had a full group of kids there every single day to go through stuff and make sure we're ready to go. And, one of our better kids gets sick. He's out. He tried to make it to school on that Tuesday, just couldn't do it. So he ended up staying home. We went over to West Central without him, and it hurt. It definitely prevented us from making it a more competitive game. But looking at the, stuff afterwards, we were pretty competitive until about 2 or 3 minutes left in the half. I think it was 16-10 or 14-10 at one point, and then they went on a little run at the end of the second quarter. There went up 26-10. We just couldn't find a bucket besides Hayden Baswick that night. He ended up with 15 in the game. Second half, you look at the scores, we scored better, but we also gave up more points. We scored 13 in each of the quarters, third and fourth quarter, but we gave up 17 and 16 each in the third and fourth. So effort was pretty good for the most part, I thought. We were just kind of missing that leader on the floor in Corbin, because Corbin's been our defensive kid all year. We match him up usually on the toughest matchup, and we were playing some different zones that we really hadn't worked on a ton. We'd played it occasionally this year, but without Corbin, we just didn't match up man-to-man on West Central like we wanted to. So initial plans were to go in playing man-to-man, but we had to switch some stuff up just because we were very limited what we had on the floor.
All right, let's go back to the regular season.
Okay.
You wanted to talk about a couple of those wins there?
Yeah, so we laid an egg against North Newton. Next week we ended up playing, or that weekend, sorry, we played North Miami. They were a one-win team. The only team they beat this year was North White. That was the first game of the year. They've got a long drive to come over to us. It's roughly 2 hours. I mean, it's a pretty good drive. We played an early game that day. I think it was an 11 o'clock JV start. So
Make it come early. Yeah, I like that.
They had to get up at probably, be at the school at 7 to leave to get over here on time, and it helped us a little bit. But
did you and your kids feel any pressure to, finally stop that streak?
We finally got the monkey off our back, yeah. I think the kids, you could see the sense of okay, we got one kind of thing. And the kids battled the whole game. We threw a different lineup out there than we had started previously this season, just trying to get a spark. I ended up starting a freshman that had been playing a lot of JV this year. He came up and started varsity for us that day and did really well for us. He led us in scoring.
Who was that?
Matthew Armstrong. He's going to be a bright spot for us next year as a sophomore. But he came in and did exactly what we wanted, kind of sparked everything else. We ended up having 3 guys in double figures that day. He ended up with 11 and I think like 6 or 7 rebounds. Hayden Biswick had 9, Hoskins had 10, and then Evan Krug had 10. So very even spread out scoring. It was competitive. Ended up going to 2 overtimes. It was one of those struggle to get a win all year, and then this first one's not going to be easy, and it wasn't. They hit a shot late in the fourth to tie it, and then we only scored 2 each in the first overtime, and then we outscored them in the second overtime to get the win. But
did you have a chance to win it either in regulation?
Oh yeah, we had
overtime?
chances. We definitely had chances. I can't remember off the top of my head what all occurred, but there was a lot of little things I'm sure that we could have corrected or fixed. But our kids battled. We faced some adversity. I think we had the lead for a while. We lost the lead. We battled back, got the lead, had the lead late, and then had to fight our way back in overtime. So that was nice to see. And then Faith Christian came the next week. They ended up taking it to us, but they have a really good team. I think it was a group that really underperformed this year with the talent that they had. They're probably 8 or 9 deep for the most part that are pretty solid kids. So we didn't have a very good matchup with them. We battled for a little bit, but they ended up just pulling away at the end there. And then Attica, our senior night, having 6 seniors, it was tough to figure out, which 5 are you going to start. I mean, to us as coaches, it doesn't really matter, but to the kids, that's their night kind of thing, so they wanted to make it memorable. So we figured out our 5, started, and those kids played great. It was a great way for them to, last game at South Newton, I think all the seniors performed pretty well. Everybody on our team scored that played besides one kid, and that was a junior, so all those seniors got to score. Drake Carlson went off for 14 in that game. That was the game of his career. I don't think he'd scored in double figures before that, so he just had a good night. And then Attica's just down. I mean, that helped us a little bit too.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy win, right?
Yeah, we kind of coasted in that one. They played hard. Their coach wasn't there. He had been suspended, I think. But they've just been in a rough spot all year. I felt for them a little bit just because I know the struggles that we've dealt with this year. It's been trying at times, and you're trying to do different things and motivate the kids in different ways, and I'm sure they're kind of going through the same stuff. So hopefully they can start turning things around too, because they've got a pretty good history of basketball down there.
Well, you talked about some of the season. Just recap the season as a whole, not every game. I'm just saying, what are your thoughts on the season?
It was like a roller coaster for the most part. I mean, I feel like it was so up and down. We even the first game of the year, we didn't have Connor Lida in the game. I think he was sick the first game of the season. You fast forward like 2-3 weeks, and that's when the tragedy happened at the school. You fast forward 2 weeks after that, Chase Stillbauer tears his ACL.
How's he doing right now?
He had a surgery. He's rehabbing now. I've been giving him some workouts the last few days to do in the weight room. He's not progressed to any leg stuff yet, but more upper body, and he's starting to get back in the routine of things. But it's going pretty well. I think he's definitely a kid that's going to come in and put work in, and I think he'll try to get back sooner rather than later. Is he
a junior?
Yeah, so he'll be a senior
next
this
year.
Upcoming season. Yeah,
Okay.
So him coming back is going to be big for us. But to keep recapping, it just seemed like every week there was something deterring our progress. Like we'd make a little bit of progress, and then a kid would get sick, or a coach would be out, or a kid would be out of town for whatever reason. Like it just seemed like every week there was just something. And I've told other people, I'm like, if this is the worst, season scheduling-wise that I have to deal with as like a head coach, I'm glad I was the first one kind of thing. I learned a lot of stuff that we can change in the future to hopefully deter some of the things that we dealt with. But it was a learning year. I think the kids grew. I think the kids got better as the year went on. You can look at each kid and see how much they've improved in a year. We've been doing exit interviews with kids this week, which is basically we did at the beginning of the year. We did an entrance interview, and then now we're doing exit interviews. So each kid, we're kind of laying out expectations, what we see their role, allow them to have a voice to kind of see where they're at. And these meetings this week have been kind of a review of those. So A lot of the kids, you can look each one individually. They've grown. They've gotten better. Certain aspects of the game, some have underperformed that we've kind of addressed, and I think we're in a good direction going forward as far as the kids understand what they've got to get better at. We lose 6 seniors, but I feel like with what we have coming back, we can still be pretty competitive next year. We had a decent JV group. You look at probably 5 or 6 of our kids, they haven't played basketball in 2 years. This is their first time coming out in 2 years, so it makes a difference. And then 2 years ago when they did play, it was COVID season, so they only had like a 6 or 7 game 8th grade schedule or a freshman schedule, so that has made a difference. I think the kids are wanting to work. You can see more interest in basketball. There's kids that are wanting to do AAU, or they're wanting to do camps, or they're wanting to, get ready to go right now in basketball stuff. They want to lift. They want to have certain drills that they can do on their own until we get back for spring stuff. So that is nice to see. I think the culture is starting to change in that aspect. I think we're starting to get the interest back from what it used to be. I think kids are starting to buy into that. So record-wise, you can say it wasn't a very successful year, but I think overall we're starting to steer the ship the right direction.
Talk about your seniors.
Seniors, so 6 of them. Corbin, only one coming back that really had any varsity experience for us, and he was a 3-year. If he wasn't a starter, he was right in the mix of the top 6 kids. I can't remember if he started his sophomore year, but he started every game as a junior, and then he started all of our games this year for the most part that he was there for. Super defensive-minded kid, total team player. We wish he would have shot and tried to score more because he is capable of it, even though his stats don't show that he is. He does pretty well at that in practice, but at times he's pretty hesitant and wants others to, do the scoring stuff, and he just focused on defense, which is fine, but at times we wanted him to score, and I think there were certain games this year where he kind of broke out and got 7-8 points in certain games, so seeing him progress in that aspect was nice. You look at Connor Lida led us in scoring this year with the amount of games he played. He played 22. I think several games down the stretch at the end of the season, he was our leading scorer in all those games. When we were looking for a bucket or whatever, he was kind of the kid to go to. Very smooth inside out. He dealt with a wrist injury all year, and I think he just came back last week. He told me what it was. He's got like a bruise, maybe a fracture, certain things. So like he dealt with that all year. So props to him for sticking that out and playing his senior year and not letting it affect him from playing. We had the Carlson twins, both kids, good kids. They want to hang on the perimeter, shoot more threes than anything else, but good kids to have in the program. They're the type of kids that are going to do what you ask. They play hard. They're good locker room guys. They kind of motivate the younger guys, so it's good guys to have in the group. Hayden Basewick, he had the game of his life in sectional, probably his best game of the season, and he saved it for sectional. We needed it to be in the game at times. He ended up with 15 in that game, and I thought like 5 or 6 rebounds. I don't have it in front of me. But another kid, big body. He and Luke Hoskins this year were able to push each other in practice to, being the same size, kind of the same play style. They were able to kind of push each other, so he's going to be missed. And then Seth Durlecker's another one. Stat-wise, didn't put up a lot of stats, but he's a hustle kid. And down the stretch, I think he was having like at least 1 charge a game, if not 2 or 3. Like he was a kid that lay his body on the line, dive on the floor, be a hustle guy, kind of the exciting guy on the bench to get everybody going. And they'll be missed. I've spent 4 years with them, whether it was JV or coached them this year on varsity. So it was a good group of kids overall. They're all going to college or military, whatever it is. So they've got plans, and whatever they do, I think they'll be a successful group.
You've talked a little bit about the future, but what about next year? What do you think?
We return 2 guys really with a lot of production. You got Evan Krug coming back, Luke Hoskins coming back. Those are the 2 you circle probably right away that for the season put up some of our better stats. And then Chase Stillebauer, obviously, he's got the most points per game, but he only played in 8 of those games. Having him back is going to be a huge difference for us, even if he's not the same exact player he was before he got hurt. I think just being that guy in practice in the locker room, like we missed that this year. He was our vocal guy. He was our guy that kind of brought everybody together, and when he was gone, it was really hard to try to recover that and find somebody to do that, because you look at the senior group, not all of them are extremely vocal, especially Corbin, not a very vocal kid, works hard, does all the right things, but he's not going to be a guy that all the time is going to address some issues. So having Chase there, I think that's going to help. He's kind of, we had his interview yesterday, and he got to see a lot of our perspective this year being on the sidelines more. He kind of took that vantage point, and I think that's helped him see the game a little differently. It's helped him see like why we're frustrated with certain things and how things could work if it was just ran a certain way. And I think he can carry that knowledge into next year and help coach up some guys that maybe not have got to that point this year for us. And then I dressed a sophomore and 2 freshmen with this group. Lucas Bogusky did really well for us this year for not playing since he was an 8th grader. He's a sophomore. He averaged 3 points a game this year for us, but he was another kid that even last week I think he got his wisdom teeth taken out, so like he was gone for 5 days. So like this is another up and down thing for us. So I'm excited for his potential next year. He's one of those, he has our school record for the 100 and 200, so he's a extremely athletic kid. He's a good football player. He's going to fit right in the mold with us next year as a guard. And then Matthew Armstrong, who started a good 3 or 4 games for us down the stretch here as a freshman, and Dominic Scott are 2 that we expect right away to be varsity kids next year, no hesitation. And then JV-wise, you look at that group, they've got a few – they're going to be juniors next year that should be right in the rotation. We've got some incoming freshmen coming in next year that there's 3 or 4 in that group that should be pretty competitive, pretty athletic. I don't know if they're varsity kids or not, probably JV to start, but there's stuff to build on. But I'm just more excited that I feel like the excitement for basketball is coming back to South Newton. It's getting where kids are wanting to play, spend extra time on stuff, and that's going to make a difference down the stretch. I think the more time they have a basketball in their hands, the more time that they're watching basketball on TV and understanding what they're watching, the better they're going to be, and it's just going to put us in a better spot going into next year.
Sure. A couple wins early next
That'll
year
help
would
too.
really, that would help.
That would help
it?
too. Yeah.
Gotta just score more though.
Yeah.
That was what it really came down to, didn't it? This year was
it really
their
did.
offense.
And I think, like I said, a lot of that would have been fixed with Chase on the floor.
Right.
Before he got out, I think we scored 3 games right around the 40-point mark, which is probably what we expect of our kids on an average basis. So before he gets out, we're right at that range. We're starting to turn the corner, and then like he gets hurt.
Boom.
And it's
Yeah.
it's tough to recover from. We had some games where he scored more, obviously, but just having a kid that can just go create his own shot is a difference maker. It's it's tougher to teach in season. It's one of the things you got to develop more out of season. You can work on it in season, but if you're not skilled enough to do it, like at practice or anything else, you're not going to do it in a game. So we just got to get to the kids to that point. I think we'll be in good shape next year. I like the progress we're making going forward, and I like the young group of kids that we have coming up. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade groups right now. There's all solid pieces in all those grades that I think we can kind of formulate and move around and be competitive.
Well, when we have a coach on for the final time, we always give it a chance to say some thank yous to the people that you'd like to thank. So,
okay.
Oh man, he's got a list.
I did take some notes, so I didn't forget anybody.
All right.
I'd probably get yelled at if I did forget some of these. Coaching staff, it was a long season. I had a couple new coaches on staff. I thought they did a pretty good job for their first year. Guys that they're buying in as well, as long as same with the players. They're guys that want to go to the clinics. They want to talk X's and O's. They want to take criticism. They want to get better at what they're doing as far as coaching at this level. So that's appreciated. I'm sure they had to deal with me being grumpy at times and
who were
everything
those
else.
coaches?
So varsity assistant, we had John Miller, which he's been coaching forever. He coached me in 7th grade, freshman year. Like he's been around for a long time.
That's dedication, man.
We scouted quite a bit together this year, so he was great to have on staff still. Kyle Robbins was another one. His wife's the volleyball coach at South Newton. Great basketball mind. He's a guy that connects really well with the kids. He understands the post game really well. He was able to kind of bring some kids along a lot quicker than we wanted him to or needed him to. And he's just a great like locker room guy. Like the kids respect him, the kids listen to him. They're excited when he comes to practice. So like that's a nice piece to have on staff. And he did it for free this year. Like he did it as a volunteer role, and he was there pretty much every day. So
wow.
Great guy to have on staff. Tim Taylor, he was our JV coach this year. Very excited guy. He was very charismatic with the kids. Kids really bought into what he was trying to do JV-wise, and I thought by the end of the year they were playing some of their best basketball too, so we kind of got them rolling. And then Coach Nick Buckley did our freshman stuff this year, another guy that hadn't coached at the high school level before, but I thought he stepped in and took his role on as the freshman coach and did well with those kids. I think he helped some of those kids develop quite a bit. We talked to some of our freshmen today in their meetings, and just night and day difference from beginning of the season to the end. A lot of that was him on the side when we were doing varsity JV stuff. He was working one-on-one with those kids to try to get them progressed a little bit, so that was very helpful. And then to our seniors, for sticking it out 4 years, all 6 of these guys have played for the last 4 years. Wasn't the most successful season that they wanted or desired, but I thought that for the most part they played hard. They dealt with some adversity, and if this is the toughest stretch of life that they have to go through, then they're going to have a pretty good life. I mean, they dealt with some stuff this year that nobody really should have to, and I thought that they rebounded well. I thought they came together as a group. I thought that they never totally lost their cool or their mind over stuff, so I thought they became better as just people after this season. Administrators, Coach Bell, Dr. McKim, Casey Hall, very supportive. Anything we needed as far as, set up a fundraiser or whatever, they were there. They were all for it. Our custodians for making sure gyms are ready, that kind of stuff. Cleaning up after games, make sure bleachers are out, all the tech stuff was ready to go. They were great all year. We had pretty good managers this year. We had 2 girls, Gavina and Kaylee, behind the bench that did a great job for us. They were there almost every single day. And then we had Garen and Malachi who traveled with us to film games. They did an awesome job this year. No complaints. They were kids that just showed up, knew what they were supposed to do, and helped us a lot. Parents, I know our senior parents kind of coordinated everything, but we do like a meal for road games. They coordinated all that. I didn't have to handle any of that, so that was nice of them to do that for us. And then wife at home, she put up with a long season. It was the first of many, as I tell her. I mean, it's frustrating at times for her, I'm sure, but she's a trooper. She's very supportive, very patient, especially when I'm grumpy or upset after a loss, or I'm up until after midnight going over stuff. Like, she was all for it. She was supportive, and she made it a lot easier on me not having to worry about some of the other stuff.
Gotta have those supportive spouses, don't you?
Yeah,
oh my
do.
gosh.
As I say, especially being a coach, like, it doesn't work if you don't have one.
Hey, it threw me off. He said, Dr. McKim. It's Jerry. Come on.
Jerry, it is
Jerry.
It is
We've
Jerry.
known Jerry since the 90s, I think, or
80s.
He's been such an awesome addition at the school, too. I meet with him quite a bit since I teach special education, so we do meetings and stuff all the time, but he's just been so supportive and a lot of, just advice and stuff as we've gone, because he coached too. He's told me all his stories about his time coaching. So
Jerry's one of the good guys.
He is. He's
Absolutely.
a great guy. We're gonna miss him next year when he's
it was just temporary and
retired again.
Retired again, yeah.
Yep.
So, well, Ricky, we enjoy you coming over, especially in the tough times, and you were here every week. Appreciate that very much. I know it's hard sometimes to come over and talk, but you did it every week, and we love go over to South Newton, do games, live stream games. So have a good off season, and we'll see you next year, okay?
Thank you, guys. I appreciate everything for this year.
All right. Coach. Ricky Monemeyer from the South Newton Rebels, back with Bill Shepard from Kankakee Valley right after this.
Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Joe Goodeman has been serving the Jasper County and surrounding area since 2009. Being involved in the area, Joe Goodeman has kept his interest in making sure he provides the best insurance for his clients. Whether you need life, car, home, business, farm and crops, or even renter's insurance, Agent Joe Goodeman will keep searching for the best policy for your valued investments. Call Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Joe Goodeman at 219-866-4694 or stop in at 2570 North McKinley Avenue in Rensselaer.
High-quality, personalized dental service is what they do at Hillcrest Dental. For over 40 years, generations have relied on Hillcrest Dental for beautiful, healthy smiles. Dr. John Ayler and Dr. Jack Drone look forward to seeing you for your next dental visit. For information or to set your appointment, call 219-866-7117. That's 219-866-7117. Or visit hillcrestdental.net. Hillcrest Dental is a proud sponsor of all high school athletics.
Working with our customers has been Kentland Bank's trademark for 87 years. We're dedicated to making your visit a lasting one, and helping you achieve your goals is our #1 priority. With 5 locations, Kentland Bank offers all loans needed for today's businesses and families, including car loans, mortgages, agriculture, and commercial loans. We're here to make your busy life less hectic by offering online and mobile banking, bill pay, and P2P payments. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Our final Coach's Cage show of this school year. We'll take a break and do some baseball and softball games. We won't have a coach's show on, and we return in August for the football season. Bill Shepard has joined us now from the Kankakee Valley Cougars. And, Billy, thanks for coming down one last time. How you doing?
Yeah, how about yourself?
Doing really well. Always sad to see the coaches go here, but it's that time of year as always. So tell us about your sectional game against Hobart?
Yeah, against Hobart. We, when the draw came out, we were on the side with Hobart and then Valparaiso and Lowell, and we were pretty okay with the draw. I mean, all of the 3 teams with the winning records were on the other side, so we thought that was good, at least an opportunity for us. Being at the 4A sectional and stuff, we felt it was an opportunity for us to advance, and we had played pretty well against Hobart a few weeks earlier at their place. Things were, we were happy with what we saw, but then when we get out there against Hobart, we start out really well. We executed the plan pretty well, and we were up 10 at halftime, and we were actually up 10 halfway through the third. And then Hobart just got a little bit of momentum, and it was just like an avalanche. So we just
couldn't stop.
We couldn't stop, and then you could tell that we tensed up pretty badly, and it was just one of those situations where they just started hitting some shots, and momentum went their way, and we were calling timeouts here and there, and just unable to do anything to get it back. And like I said, we tensed up and looked like we were playing a little bit nervous once the momentum swung from us, and unfortunately, it was one of those situations where they just continued to make plays, and we didn't lose the lead until about halfway through the fourth, but it was one of those things where the wheels were just turning.
You had that sinking feeling.
Yeah. It was one of those where, and it wasn't quite that pronounced. We had a lot of those games where if you ended at halftime or if you ended at the end of 3 quarters or whatever, we'd have been pretty well off. But it was we went real cold. I think we had 3 points in the last 12 minutes of the game. Just one of those situations where nothing was going our way, and just kudos to Hobart. I mean, they grabbed the momentum and they took advantage of it and they ran with it. So, anybody play well for you that night? We had a handful of people really play well in the first half. Cam Webster led us in points with 14 overall, but 12 of those were in the first. Everything we did was basically prior to halftime. We had Cam had 12 in the first half. Bobby Lalonde, that he started his first sectional game, and he had 7 points right away in the first quarter. It ended with 7, and then Hayden Days had 8. He had 2 in the second half or whatever. And Jeremiah Jones, he was in foul trouble. He was a center. He was a forward for us. He was in foul trouble, but he did have 6 in the third quarter for us while we were still had the momentum. Mm-hmm. He wound up with 8 points on the night himself. So, but about halfway through the third on, it was, as far as offensive numbers go, it was non-existent. Like I said, we had 3 points in the last 12 minutes and 3 points in the fourth quarter, actually. And just one of those, like I said, one of those nights where, people played hard. Just unfortunately, once the momentum got against us, you could just feel it.
That's what in sports you see, like,
happens all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, 1 or 2 guys start failing, and then it's like the other guys feel pressure. What is it? You see that a lot.
Oh yeah, and it's something that you got to learn.
It's got to be tough as a coach.
It is, and it's just something that people react differently to. And some people accept it and relish in it, and some people have to learn to get through it. And we experienced it, so hopefully all the guys that are coming back have learned now. They'll learn to maybe deal with that situation a little bit better next time around, and just kind of go from there. But obviously when you have a situation like that, I mean, even if you're calling timeout, I mean, we still need to be calmed down and just let's play basketball. We're still up at that point, whatever, we're still up 7. Let's just play, and. But it just seems like and kids are caught up in the moment. So no matter how you say it, but sometimes they're caught up in the moment and they're not hearing it.
Right.
So.
And that happens everywhere. I mean, that's.
We're not unique to that.
Right. Exactly.
So. Was your perimeter game, did that kind of leave you in that? Were you hitting 3-pointers? Or I know that's a big part of what you guys like to do when you get hot.
Yeah, I mean, early on we were hitting some perimeter shots and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, literally in the last 12 minutes we didn't hit anything. I mean, nothing. I mean, we could have had a layup and it would have missed. It was just I think we had one field goal and somebody was 1 or 2 from the line in the last 12 minutes. Wow. And when we weren't per se turning it over, it was just real. Everything was really tense, and just nothing was in flow, and like I said, we missed literally everything basically for the last 12 minutes of the game, and we weren't taking. Did we take some forced shots at times? Yeah, probably, but I mean that wasn't the cause. That was that was more the result than anything else. So
as a coach, are you looking down for your assistant coaches to, give you some ideas of what to do, or it's got to be a sinking feeling.
Yeah,
knowing your guys are better than what's they're showing in the
game. And it's it is a rough feeling, but like I said, I mean everybody goes through that at some point in time, and obviously sectionals are a situation where there is a lot of pressure inherently. Anyway, I mean it's not like a normal game where I will just practice tomorrow and figure it out.
Right.
So there's that finality to everything. So when things start going against you, whatever, then that added pressure sneaks in there a little bit, and that's when you're not used to that. That's difficult to handle. And like I said, some people handle it great right out of the rip, and we just we didn't handle it very well. And as coaches, we like I said, we call timeouts, and we try to I can remember coming to the huddle, and one of the first things we're telling the kids for like 3 straight timeouts was, "Get your heads up. You're fine. Get your heads up." But like I said, when the mind's already in a certain spot, it's sometimes hard to get it back to where it was, and you need a play. You need a play to get you back in. Get you snap back into it, and. Unfortunately for us, we just never. I mean, really, probably all it would have took was a shot just to go down. Just give us a shot to go down.
Right.
And it didn't happen, and so then then they feel more confidence, and then they go hit a shot. It just adds to it. So
you've had a chance to reflect on your season. Give us your thoughts on the entire year.
Well, I thought, obviously coming off a really good year last year, 16-8. People would want the record to probably be flipped, 15-9 instead of 9-15. But when you look back at the year, especially for the last 3/4 of the year, for the most part, I mean, I want the kids to understand how much closer they still got to, their goal. I mean, we were not the last 3/4 of the year. There was not many games where it was like, man, you got blown out, even against the big schools. We were. Munster were down 4 going into the fourth quarter. Valparaiso were down like 8 going into the fourth. I mean, we're not winning, but I mean, last year, even though we were 16-8, I mean, against those types of schools, we still got our heads handed to us pretty good. So we made progress against that type of competition. Now, granted, on some other nights, we probably could have played better against some of the other competition that we played, but against the top level competition on our schedule, we definitely made progress and got closer. Now, let's focus on that, and let's keep getting better for next year, and try to flip some of those games. I went through the schedule, and then 6-point games or less, we were 0-6. And holy cow, you're talking 9-15 to 15-9. The teams that have the winning records, they find a way to win those games. And the teams that have the under 500 records, well, they find a way to not win those games. And that's really what it comes down to. And we had plenty of opportunities to get those wins and played pretty well. And like I said, a lot of nights against good top-level competition played better than we did last year. But last year's team had a more of a propensity to, hey, we're going to make this key shot. We're gonna make this key play to get us this 3-point win instead of suffering like a 5-point loss as a result. So it's just a couple plays here and there, and that's all it takes to switch 6 games around or whatever. So that's how they just got to understand that's how close they are. They just got to keep working to keep sometimes you got to go through some failure to get success. So
how many seniors you got? And tell us about them.
Got 3 seniors this year. Hayden Days, our 6'7" center, started varsity for 3 years and a little bit into at the end of his freshman year too. So he was almost a 4-year starter. He averaged about 9.5 points a game for us this year and averaged about 8 or 9 rebounds a game for us this year. Did a really good job. He's just such. I'm going to say this about all the 3 seniors that I have, but just a great kid, all around great kid. Very, very well-rounded individual, very smart in the classroom as well. Always, he's goal-driven just like the other 2 are. Definitely going to be a success down the road. Going to be, he hasn't decided where he's going to go yet, I'm pretty sure. But, I'm pretty sure engineering and basketball are going to be involved. So, definitely a class act, somebody that I've really enjoyed coaching and just really enjoyed getting to know him on a much more personal level throughout his career. Another one is Colton Pribble. He started the last 2 years for us at point guard. Obviously had the injury this year that kept him out about 7 games, I think it was. And he came back for our last 2 games and then for the sectional game. So it was good to have him back. But he might be one of the best leaders that I've coached. Colton is, and once another very smart. all these kids take AB calculus, so very smart kid, going to go to Purdue and do great things there. He comes from a very very good family. His dad's an attorney, and so there's he just got a good background to lean on. So just another really honor to coach somebody like him. And Dylan Holmes is our third senior. Just another well-rounded, smart kid. I've known his dad, Scott. Scott played high school baseball with me, on those Cougar teams that you covered back in the day. They used to be really solid.
Absolutely.
On the baseball diamond. So he's going to be going to Marion to play baseball. So that's good for him. And he had an injury last year that kept him out about 3/4 of the year, his junior year, just as he was starting to show some signs of coming on. He broke his wrist against Andrean, and kept him out basically the entire year for his junior basketball season. So I kind of wish we would have got to see what he would have been like with a year of experience under his belt instead of missing out on that opportunity. But like I said, just as far as a group of kids go, I've never had a whole group of seniors that had this type of basketball skill, classroom skill, just well-rounded people. I've known their families since I was going in school with them. So it was kind of neat to be able to see them through. Since, like I said, I've known their parents since we were in school. So all that's kind of neat.
It's probably tough to say goodbye to them, isn't it? That you coached them so long and that they participated, right there on the varsity level. I remember Hayden Days. Was he a sophomore? Did he play as a freshman?
Yeah.
He's been there forever.
He's on the professional student plan.
I finally learned how to pronounce his name properly. Their senior year, finally took me 3 years to pronounce it properly, but
yeah, he maybe with the COVID stuff, maybe he's going to apply for like one of those 5th year.
Yeah, there you go. Like in college, you can play 6 years.
Yeah, maybe come back for a couple more years, but it's tough to say goodbye to any group really, because basketball is such a long season. And let's be honest, it's basically year-round now anymore. but the season itself is really long. You just spend so much time together that it's almost impossible to not build quality relationships with people, and I mean, you almost have to even just do it by accident with nothing else. But as much time as we put in, as much care as we put in, I mean, it's impossible not to get close to people and understand them and respect them, and on a much different level than just like this is Hayden Days, So it's difficult to see those guys leave just because they're just such great people. And you lose basketball players, but losing, you replace basketball players. It's just very difficult to replace people.
You got a lot of returners then for next year.
Yeah, we got a lot of people coming back. We obviously Bobby Lalonde came up in the last half of the year, and
I was impressed with him at the North Judson game. Yeah.
Oh, and sectionally comes out and gets our first 5 points too. I mean, the one thing about Bobby is, there's no game too big for him. I mean. And he was one of the kids that didn't feel a whole lot of pressure against Hober, but the ball didn't find him enough in the second half. I joked with somebody the other day that you could drop him in the middle of a Purdue and Indiana game and he'd think he'd fit right in. Just it wouldn't. And he'd be telling Braden Smith what to do.
That's a lot to say. That's a lot to say, man.
He mentally he's out there to compete, and that's what he's out there to do. He's out there to win, and we got him coming back. Who he wound up actually making honorable mention all conference for us this year, just playing half a year. So that's how much of an impact he had. Obviously, you start with Camden Webster coming back. He's about 60-ish points away from 1,000 right now, and kind of like to get that out of the way as soon as possible so we can start worrying about other things.
2 games, so I'm giving him.
Well, it could take 20. It could take 20 as long as we win. It doesn't matter. But obviously things start with him. He's a heck of a player. Learning, continuing to. He's going to have a new group now. He's going to be the senior. He's not going to be the junior or sophomore playing with older guys. He's going to be the senior now, but he's going to have a lot of talent to work with. Jeremiah Jones is coming back again. He started for us all year long. Hopefully we can continue to develop him inside over the summer. I think he's got a lot of offensive ability that's still untapped that we got to get towards. And we go Jake Anderson's also another junior that his spot started for us this year that's a pretty good little shooter. And talked to him yesterday about some things, and he's going to do some AAU basketball this spring and summer. He always does that anyway, but going to do some of that to try to improve some things on his end. And you got a JV team that was 18-4.
That's a good thing.
And
wow.
And that's with Bobby coming up halfway through the year, and they didn't miss a beat. So the thing about them, I think you guys saw Brady Sampson's first really varsity game against North Judson. He came in and just looked like he belonged from the minute he was in there, and did well in sectional too. He was our first guy off the bench in sectional, and looked like he belonged right away. So that JV crew they're skilled and they're ultra competitive, and so that's going to create a good environment all summer long for us to try to feed off of that type of energy too. They're bringing some skill, but they're also, like I said, bringing that just competitive, we are here to win type mentality, and that's They were a team that made those plays. They had a lot of close JV games too, and especially against the bigger schools. But they were a team that made those plays down the stretch that we talked about earlier.
Last chance to talk with you, Bill. Get your thank yous out of the way. I know you have a lot of people that help contribute to the KV basketball program.
Oh yeah, and so we can't just say rewind to last year and just repeat it.
Well, you can.
I'm just joking. Obviously, gotta start with the most important people, and I just want to thank the players for putting up with me in my demands for all year round, especially during the season. Basketball is another weird sport in the fact that it's in the wintertime, so practice is 4 to 6. Oh, by the way, now it's a snow day, so I don't know if we can practice now. Or hey, there's a rescheduled girls game for tonight, so we might have to now we're practicing here at this time, and just all those types of communication things that the kids and families have to deal with that some other sports don't have to deal with, due to not having those types of weather issues or whatnot. So just got to thank the players for their work, their dedication, their devotion to the program, their respect and devotion to the coaching staff, and obviously the families and the parents. I mean, juniors and seniors are a little easier because they drive around, but obviously the younger kids in your program, I mean, they can't get to practice without the help of a parent. So definitely want to thank all of them for everything they do and all the support and spirit that they provide to the program. I mean, parents provide team meals, parents provide sectional week. They're decorating the locker rooms and stuff like that. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that they do that really create a good environment that people, on the general public doesn't see or know. So I definitely want to thank those. I mean, they're the most important parts of the program, those players and their families. So I want to thank, obviously, the athletic department at Kankakee Valley, John Gray, Bill Mueller, the athletic director and assistant athletic director, respectively. Just everybody involved there for giving us everything that we asked for, and just really being supportive and helpful. It's just a great group to work with. And obviously the administration at KV, Ryan Myers is the first year's principal there, but I mean, I've known Ryan, another somebody I've known since, way back in time.
Sure.
Before he even thought he was ever going to be a principal. So just a great administrator to work for, and just a great group of guys, a great group of people in that office as well. And obviously the cheerleaders, cheerleading coach, always trying to align stuff with us and be supportive in that way. We appreciate all that. Vanessa Berkey, the athletic trainer, does a great job. And as you guys know, we were pretty banged up there last half of the year, so we kept her busy. Of
course, that's a theme this year for a lot of teams: injuries.
Yep. And once again, when it's such a long season, you're almost, if you don't have them, you're really fortunate. I mean, if you don't have some, you're really fortunate. Right. So either injuries or a week where the flu goes through your team. One of the two. So want to thank my coaches that work with me on a day in, day out basis. They are a huge help. I lean on them more and more every year for advice and help, and put them in charge of this or in charge of that. And they Brett Walther is my JV coach, and David Hanger is my varsity assistant. My dad, Roy Shepard, is a junior varsity assistant, and then Omar Vasquez is our freshman coach. They all just do a great job in their respective roles and what they're doing. And obviously, we can keep going on with bus drivers, people that get us to and from games safely. I mean, that's taking time out of their families to do that type of stuff too. We definitely appreciate those people as well. And thanks to you guys and shows like this for promoting our program and giving us opportunity to speak about these types of things. It's just really a pleasure to be able to come on here and talk and basically brag about our kids, and that's great for us.
One thing that we noticed in the North Judson game, your front row there, scorekeeper, timekeepers, those guys have had more time for KV sports than we have.
I know it, yeah.
Boy, we recognize those faces forever. Who are those guys?
Bob Tillman runs our book at home games a lot, and Mike Confer is the announcer, been the announcer for football and basketball forever, and Bob Tillman also sometimes does the clock. So if he does the clock, Al Camming is going to do he does our book. So they kind of rotate around with that, and then on the road, actually, my JV coach Brett Walther, his granddad Gary Holloway, does our book on the road. I mean, obviously, just those are things that
all behind the scenes type guys.
And those are also things that as coaches we have to worry about setting up or finding people for.
Sure.
And once those are set, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, it's just a benefit or a real relief where every year we're not, all right, who's doing book this Friday? Who's doing book on Saturday? It's just you got a lot of other things to worry about. So those types of people having people like that are trustworthy or that are dependable year in, year out, game in, game out. Just a real relief to not have to worry about that kind of stuff. So,
Billy, you're always a pleasure to talk to. We love you coming down each week and talking KV basketball. Enjoy your off season, and then we'll see you next year.
Off season.
Coaches don't know that happens.
Let me rephrase that. Season where you don't play games.
Okay, yeah. Or seasons where the games don't count.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll definitely enjoy that. Thank you guys again for giving us this opportunity, and we will be looking forward to talking to you guys around Thanksgiving time.
All right. Bill Shepard from the Kankakee Valley Cougars. And last but not least, it's Chad Pulver from the Rensselaer Central Bombers right after this.
Hi, this is Chuck Clark with the Underwood Insurance Agency, formerly Preferred Insurance Group. Are you tired of being sacked every month with your auto insurance bill? Do you feel you just pay your premium to your agent and never hear from them? We at the Underwood Insurance Agency work with over 10 insurance carriers to get you our best rate and coverage we can, and we pride ourselves on serving our customers like they are our family. We are conveniently located in Remington and Lafayette. We can be reached at underwoodagency.com. Reach out to us to score big savings.
Meet you at Arnie's, Rensselaer's go-to pizza and so much more. Pizza, sandwiches, burgers are here. Don't forget about dessert. Wings, cheese sticks, garlic bread too. Arnie's pizza menu has something for everyone. Dine in or carry out in the best pizza in town. Located across from St. Joseph's College in Rensselaer. Call 219-866-9999 and meet you at Arnie's.
Pulver Psychological Services offers psychological counseling, consultation, and assessment. Locally owned and operated, Pulver Psych focuses on solutions for the community and serves as support for individuals, families, and organizations. Whether you're in need of personal, family, or success counseling, Pulver Psychological Services can help you reach your life goals, increase work satisfaction, have better relationship compatibility, improve performance. Get in touch with Pulver Psychological Services by visiting pulverpsych.com.
In agriculture, preparation is important. Dedication is you deciding what to plant and then asking what it will take for a good crop. How much work will it take to produce the final crop? In sports, preparation is vital in becoming the best you can be. Dedication is a well of achievements for a winning desire. Corbett Farms encourages everyone to do their best by having a winning spirit, attitude, and achievement. Your positivity will make a difference. Corbett Farms is proud to sponsor high school sports.
Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Joe Goodman has been serving the Jasper County and surrounding area since 2009. Being involved in the area, Joe Goodman has kept his interest in making sure he provides the best insurance for his clients. Whether you need life, car, home, business, farm and crops, or even renter's insurance, Agent Joe Goodman will keep searching for the best policy for your valued investments. Call Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Joe Goodman at 219-866-4694 or stop in at 2570 North McKinley Avenue in Rensselaer.
After a hard day's work or play, it's time for some relaxation, and there's no better place than Unwind on Front Street in Rensselaer. For massage therapy, facials, spray tanning, yoga classes, and wellness, stop by Unwind. They also offer student athletes 30-minute massages for $25. Alina would like to thank Unwind's loyal customers for their patronage since 2016. To make an appointment, call Unwind at 219-869-0290.
Well, we've reached the final hitter of the sports season here, this sports season on 3KG, the Kage.
This is going to be tough. This is going to be a tough interview right here.
Well, I mean, talking to Matt Sipkman was tough too, wasn't it?
This is true.
Who lost a heartbreaker right at the end of their sectional championship game to Tri-County.
Two guys that could have strung them 2 in a row.
Both of them could have, yeah.
For all practical
North
purposes.
White and Rensselaer were this close. Chad Pulver, you just couldn't pull it out at the end against Twin Lakes, who was extremely hot in the championship game Saturday.
Yes, they were. They had a really nice game plan. They played a zone. They put us in a tough spot. We had a difficult time moving the ball north-south, toward the rim. We would get a drive in, and the contact wasn't enough to get a call, and so that put us in a spot where some of the guys that would normally, rise up and make a shot, they were getting banged up a little bit, and the shot wasn't going down, and so we had to shift what we were doing. We ended up throwing zone just to try to change the pace of the game, and we put a full court pressure on, and being able to get a tie ball game with about 10.6 seconds to go in the game.
Most of the game, you're 10 to 15 points behind.
We had a lead in the first quarter, and that quickly diminished. And then I think we went into the locker room down by 10 at halftime, and so we had to gather strength back up, and we would get it down to 5 points, 6 points, and then we'd give up another 3. And so, going from that 5 points to 3 points versus another 8 points or 9 points. And so we were back and forth. But we were able to claw our way back into it, and we're shooting free throws down by 1 and ended up hitting one of them to tie the game. And then they went down, called a timeout, and were able to put the ball in just before the buzzer. I asked for the check of time, and they gave me a half a second. I thought we needed another second and a half maybe before they blew the whistle. But, that's the way it goes. And so we tried to go full court in 1.9 seconds, and the shot
couldn't do
wasn't
it
close.
two games in a row.
Well, the previous night, on that Friday night, that play that was drawn up, we had done multiple times. We had run that in practice. We had done it against West Lafayette the first time we played them in Lafayette for the tournament in the holiday, and got a really good shot up, and it just didn't fall. So the guys were a little bit more familiar with that one, and it played to perfection. Not only the inbounding in a kick up, but the shot in the corner was great, and a high emotional shot there. And then on Saturday, the 1.9 just wasn't enough. We inbounded it, and it just the movement to get the ball in, it wasn't what we would want, and so we were going the wrong direction, and then it turned into a flailing shot rather than a shot that had a chance to go down.
For the Twin Lakes last basket, did the defense lose track of the men, or did you have a breakdown there? Or not?
I think part of it was our guys were pretty exhausted at that point. We didn't have a lot of substitutions happening in the second half, and so the left-handed guy drove to his left and was able to get a nice shot up, and we didn't make him go side to side very much. That's one of the things that we have prided ourselves on defensively, is we don't give a lot of north-south drives, and he was able to go from outside the three-point line to about the second hash, right on the tracks. And so it was a pretty nice shot for him to be able to be directly going to the basket with a strong hand and go up and rise with that left-handed shot. And so that was something that we haven't given up a lot this season, was a strong hand dribble, straight line, and that happened late in the game. And they hit it, and we just couldn't get the ball back up the floor.
What do you say to your team, or do you say anything after the game? I know it's hard to lose a game like that.
We had a lot of success this season, and believe me, there's a lot of things that I would trade for a sectional championship. I mean, to be very honest, we had a lot of things, and I don't think there was anyone in that locker room that wouldn't have said, you want to take the 20 wins and drop us back down to 11 and have us win a sectional championship, we would do it. I mean, not because we don't appreciate all the other things, but that's how special a sectional championship is. I mean, you get to put up special banners for those things. You get remembered for those things. And I think everybody knew that. Everyone knew that this is what we've been talking about since we lost last year in the regionals. It wasn't, gee, I wonder if we can do these other things. It was, we want a sectional championship. We want to go for regionals. We want to have a chance to do something that no one else has done, which is to win a regional and go for that semi-state and win a semi-state. And the new format this year was going to be intriguing. We would be able to play at Newcastle, and I mean, there was all those things that were part of what our boys were working toward. But at the end of the game, ultimately, what we had to do is we have to take a moment and acknowledge the team. I find that is a very important moment. That's the last time that team is ever together in that way. As soon as you walk out of that locker room, there's nothing the same. The seniors are finished. There's nothing else. Those freshmen are no longer freshmen. They're sophomores. Sophomores are juniors. Juniors are seniors. Coaching staffs come and go. They change around. There are all kinds of things that happen after you walk out that locker room that last time. And it's not because guys don't care for each other or they won't be connected forever, but that team, that unity, that one moment in time, it's a cherished moment. And so that's what we talk about. We talk about recognizing it and allowing guys to talk if they want to talk. The coaching staff goes around and they share how special it is to be part of this season and to be part of the boys' lives and to be able to thank the boys for allowing us to be there with them and to be part of this experience for them. And that's what we do. And it takes a couple minutes, and we go around, and we don't leave until we're finished with that. Because once we leave, if someone leaves and comes back, it's not the same. And so we make sure that we handle it. And so when we walk out, we know it's final. And then when we get together for our awards ceremony and we get together for other things, it's for a different reason. But in that moment, that is the team's last chance and the team's last moments together. And so we have made that part of how we handle things, is we acknowledge that.
Now, before we go on, would you consider this a successful season, but even though you came up empty? Or what are your thoughts on the overall season?
Oh, I think it was a very successful season. I wouldn't say that we had a failure of a season. I'm not. I don't like losing, but let's be honest. I mean, we tied for third place all-time wins for the Bombers. We were.
Is that right?
Wow. I mean, the number one team was a 24-1 team from 1950. 6, I think, and the only thing they lost was
Bill was just a little kid then.
Yeah. So, but I mean, there was a team with 24 wins. There's a team with 21 wins, and now there's 2 teams with 20 wins.
Well,
and so
that's amazing.
You know, we can't be upset about that. First time ever that we've won a Hoosier Conference championship. So I mean, that has never been done before. We put
a big long winning streak too.
It was a nice winning streak, and at least in the last 30 years, I mean, we had a streak that no one else has had.
Is that right? Wow.
Yep. But my approach on streaks is they don't mean anything. I mean, because it doesn't matter. If you take one of our losses earlier in the season, we don't trade out winning or losing, but you just take one of them and move to the end. Does that mean that we're not successful because we had a loss in the last week rather than the first week? So a winning streak doesn't mean anything other than to demonstrate you're doing the things that you think you can do, and you're doing them well, and you're executing in the game plan. So I don't talk a lot about winning streaks because that's out of our control. Sometimes we don't get to control who we're playing, and so we play who's in front of us. And
you coaches think you should win every game.
Well, absolutely. And so the other part of it is that if we would have lost against Benton Central, I wouldn't have been upset that we lost our winning streak. I would have been upset that we lost the sectional game.
Yeah.
It's just like when we lost to Twin Lakes. I'm not upset that we lost our winning streak. I'm upset that we lost the championship.
Sure, yeah.
So in that way, that's where the streak doesn't mean anything.
Right.
I don't know if you would ask me 10 years ago about a winning streak, I would have said it that way. I think that I would have talked about, it's a big deal to put the wins together, and it helps everyone with momentum, but in the grand scheme of things, we played really good basketball for a lot of the season, and we put together strategies and we put together game plans, and the guys adopted them. They were very businesslike. We were methodical with the way we went through things, knowing other teams' personnel, knowing the tendencies of the players, understanding what we needed to do, and so.
You think that was because you're so senior dominated?
I think it really helped. I think it allowed us to have those types of conversations. But I think it falls right back on the coaching staff that's around me. They have spent a lot of time breaking down games and knowing the personnel, and we spent a lot of time, especially later in the season, when we don't need to keep banging on them physically. We know they're going to perform.
Right.
So now we need to mentally make sure they're locked in. And so I think that part of what caught up to us in the end is, we did have significant injuries. We had things that changed our season, and those last year in the sectional run, we were able to go 8 deep and sometimes 9 deep into the bench. And our championship game, we played 8 total, but when you look at the minutes that were played, it was really 5 guys, and those 5 guys left it all on the floor.
Right.
And that's the way we had to do it. And when it came to tight games, it was 5 guys, 5 guys, 5 guys. And every once in a while, we'd have a guy that would step up, and usually every night we'd have someone different step up and give us some minutes. And on Saturday, we couldn't find that extra bump that we needed, and we probably needed someone to give us that spark. And it just it didn't click. And
how many times do you see it though? You have a big deficit, you make it all the way back to even, and then you just don't have enough gas to get it to the end.
Yep, it is a lot of energy. And honestly, I think our guys were so amped up during the game, we got going faster, and that burns a lot of energy by itself. I think it's just the excitement of being in a championship game. And it worked against us not having the team that we practiced with all summer long is not who we finished the season with, and it's not anyone's fault. It's the reality of what we had.
And that doesn't happen to you guys very often. Last year, a little bit too.
It did. We lost Tommy in the first game last year.
But
with
before
an ACL.
that, it was.
But before that, season 5, season 6 for me have been really devastating injuries for us, and this season more just because
season enders.
They were, and they were tough, and to lose Cassius in the after the first weekend, and then losing Caden with about 8 games to go. those really changed the dynamic of the team. Caden on the game he went out with Benton Central was having his best game of the season. I mean, he had 10
we were
points.
there. It was weird. It was a weird play. A long down court pass. And
I think looking back at it and watching it multiple times, the way that I visualized it was, I think he was trying to tiptoe like a wide receiver in the NFL. Like he knew he was going close to the end line, and so when he was catching it over his shoulder, I think he was trying to tiptoe and then just kind of turned his knee the wrong way. And I mean,
because nobody hit him, right?
No, he went down just because of his step. But it was, I mean, he lost all three. He lost the meniscus, the ACL, and the MCL, I think. So, I mean, it was the unhappy three.
Has he had surgery yet or no?
I don't think he's had surgery.
No.
I think that's another week and a half away.
Just got to wait for the swelling to go down.
I think it's swelling. Part of it is the prehab, getting himself strong.
Through all this.
Yes, so you have to get yourself ready. You want that extension and that flexion because that's what you need to get in order. So that way, when they put the new stuff in, with the healing process, you've already demonstrated you can get the extension and the flexion proper.
So how's the latest on your son? How's he doing?
He's doing great. He is doing more weight-bearing stuff now, so actually doing some squats with weights on it, is doing some lunges. He's been in the pool at least once a week these last couple weeks, and so as far as where he can go and what he's doing, he's been green lit to be able to go and actually do a little bit of shooting around. And so, that says a lot for how hard he's worked to put himself back in that position.
Modern medicine, too, is amazing.
Technology is amazing.
Holy smokes.
When the doctor talked about how they harvest the ligament and then sew it back in, and then what they do to the other one in order to make it heal. I mean, it's incredible the way they can do it. So I'm very thankful that he's been able to recover like he has, and hopefully he'll continue to do that. I mean, he's working out every day, and he's doing what he can as far as the rehabilitation goes, but he's also continuing to lift weights and do other things just to keep himself in shape. And so it's a long process, and he's a guy that had to change what he was doing on the sideline. And as much as he could, I think that he grew into the role and did what he could from the sidelines. And so I know I appreciate it, and I think the other coaches did. And I think that him being around, he still went to all the morning jumpers with us. He was still there every day. He was at practice.
That says a lot about him.
Well, I hope so. I think that's what's one of the things that's special about our program and our guys is that they genuinely like being together, and they like being a part of what we're doing. And I think that says a lot about the boys that are there and how much they give to this program and how much they give to each other.
Let's talk about your seniors.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah, it is. But what a bunch of guys that can shoot the basketball.
Yes.
Man, I looked at those stats today, and you guys are heads above everybody else. Your three-point shooting at 33%, your free throw shooting at 70%, your field goal, 2-point field goal percentage was 50%. And
was
you
it
didn't
really?
have any huge guys either,
No.
especially after your son went out.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh Pete.
Are you insinuating that we should have won our sectional? Is that what you're saying? See, that's the
No,
way this feels. I thought we were going to be nice to each other
I
tonight, and
wanna
you're
get
coming
away
in and you're giving me like backhanded compliments. Gee, coach, it'd be nice if you'd win a sectional with these kind of stats.
You won last year. Now come on.
They have done a really nice job. So one of the things that I try to do as we are finishing up the season, and it helps some of my emotional and mental transition, is I start to go back over the stats. I start to look at things and look how we performed as a unit and as a team. And one of the things that I'm very proud of the boys is we're the #1 rebounding team in Bomber history. And we had the most overall rebounds, we had the most defensive rebounds, and we had the most offensive rebounds. And that says a lot for our program. It says a lot for how we won.
Not real tall guys.
Not real tall guys, but
Yeah.
we were tenacious.
Yeah.
And we were certainly monsters when it came to that. I mean, we started to refer to ourselves as the Nightmares because we started to feel like anyone that's going to walk across the floor from us, you better be ready for a nightmare because we're going to make your life miserable. And I think the guys took that into account and really started to believe that that's how we're going to do this. It's going to be defense and rebounding, and they've done a great job. Colby Chapman, I pulled 117 defensive rebounds on the season. Noel Marchand had an amazing amount of offensive rebounds in the season. But when you take our totals of everybody involved, we got more rebounds than anyone. And
what makes a good rebounder? You're a big guy.
You have to have an engine that doesn't stop, and you have to read where the ball is going, and then once you get the ball, you are making sure that no one else can take it from you. And one of my favorite moments of the game, we had 2 times that I can think of where the defensive person had the ball in their hands, and one time it was Noel Marchand, another time it was Tommy Boyles, and they literally took the ball and yanked it away from them and then laid it in. And it was just like that. That was the mentality of, you may have it, but it's not yours, it's ours. And I think that's my favorite part, is when, if you're not going to be strong with it, then we're just going to take it away from you. And I think that mentality was really what carried us through.
31 rebounds a game was your average. 21 on the defensive side. Almost 10 offensive.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That is just something else.
Well, and it was a lot of fun to watch. I think that those of you that have seen us play, I think we were very unselfish. I think we did a lot of the little things well in order to give us a chance. I know when we played some of the flashier teams this season and were able to get a win off from them, I think a lot of times they looked at it like, well, they're just so physical. Well, yeah, we are physical, but we also realize we're not going to shoot our way out of things. Now, we could score some points. I mean, I think our margin for winning was 13 points. I think we averaged just under 60, and I think we held teams right around that 44, 45 mark, which means you better come to play, because if you're not, we'll just keep you from scoring. And so, we had a couple slip-ups, and when those slip-ups happened, we usually didn't come out with a win. So, I mean, we gave up 61 points to Twin Lakes. That's not our style.
No.
They had 21 points after the first quarter. I leaned down next to Trent Fagley, who is the assistant coach, and I said, 21 points, that's a halftime score for us. And we were just bleeding at that point. And so we had to do a lot to try to slow them down.
Was there any one game that really saw you guys?
Go ahead.
What's your?
Go ahead. I want to hear your answer.
Any one game where you thought this season is coming on, man? Because I remember watching you guys. It was like, wow, they're winning. All of a sudden, you guys are closing in on 20 wins. It's like, geez,
you calling us boring? Is that what you're saying?
Where did these Bombers come from? Is what I'm saying. You guys I didn't expect it at the start of the season. I didn't, and then with the injuries, I really didn't.
Yeah.
And yet you just kept playing better. You had guys step into roles.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the games, we had a few that stood out to me. We had some games that were a lot of fun to be a part of. I think, looking at a game like North Newton, which was a nail-biter, and hitting a shot at the end, really kind of put us to, no one's going to be easy. There's not anyone on our schedule that's just going to lay down. And so North Newton gave us a hard game, and we were able to find a way to win. I thought, that was an important moment for us. I think North Judson, going against a team that I think in the regular season only lost 3 games total, and they lost to us, and we handled them pretty well, 49-36. That's not something that's going to come easily to North Judson. That was a really nice win for us. I think beating Benton Central twice in the second part of that season, those were tough games. Those were they are a mirror image of us. They're hard-nosed. They don't back away. They're physical, and those were hard games for us. And so off the top of my head, those are the ones where I feel like we had to earn those games. Those were not, Tipton, going over to Tipton, that's a long drive to win on their floor in a game where I think they really felt like they were going to win that game. That's a nice win for us. And so those are the things that I when I look back at the season, I'm very happy for the guys. It gave them a lot of wins on the road. We were 10-0 at home. I can't think of a time that we were undefeated at home.
Wow.
So
I didn't realize that.
that's an accomplishment that every
all
time
the stats there, and you
overlooked that one.
Overlooked it.
What are you guys doing over here? You guys have like 3 hours before I get up here, and you haven't figured it out yet. So I think there's a lot of things that happened this season that really could have been nice marker moments for us.
I thought you were going to ask him what game he wants to have back, but I'm not going to ask him that. So we'll just forget that, okay? So, anyway, no,
I did want to point out, now that you beat North Newton with that game, you've got a 26-game win streak against them. Just something to look forward to next year.
Well, winning streaks don't matter.
Yeah, they don't matter. I mean, so if I lose next time, what does it matter? Like, the winning streak means nothing. So, all it takes is one game.
It means something to some people.
Hey, we got to get back to the seniors, and he's got a whole bunch of them to talk about. So, talk about your seniors, Chad.
Well, I think that we have 6 seniors, which have been guys that all 6 of them have been part of the program for 4 years, which it says a lot for them sticking around and being a part. And so, starting with Colby Chapman, who has, in his career over 800 points. He is someone that will be in the top 10 of a lot of the different categories for assists, for rebounds, for points. And so it's a guy that from his sophomore year has been an integral part of the varsity program. In his freshman year, clearly was a guy that we knew we had to be ready for and build around. And so that has been a really fun maturation process. And then you have on the other side of him with Tristan Wietrich, who has played these last 2 years just out of his mind. It's been really fun to watch him come on and score like he has been able to score and handle the ball and shoot like he has. And Tristan was a guy in his first year where he's playing on the JV as a point guard. His second year starts to get a little bit more varsity time, trying to get him acclimated to the speed of the change that happens with JV and into that senior year. Then you have Tommy and Noel. So Tommy Boyles was someone his sophomore year, again, getting significant varsity time, and his junior year ends up losing all but 60 seconds of his year because of the knee injury. And so it came back this year and just played lights out defense. I mean, it was not uncommon for us to say, okay, who's Tommy going to guard? And then we pick everyone else after we give Tommy his assignment. And so that says a lot for how much we look to him and trust him to take care of business. And then to have him be able to step into roles when needing to, especially the end of the season, hitting some pretty major three-point shots for us. Teams decided that they were going to sag off from him to try to clog the lane, and then he learned how to make them pay. And so Tommy grew a lot this season doing that.
I love his motor, boy.
It was nonstop. It was great. And then Noel Marchand is a guy that had such a fantastic year. He as far as steals and rebounds, and shot over 55% from the floor for the season. And those types of things happen just because you are that guy that won't stop. You are going to keep grinding. You're going to keep going at people. And I think that Noel was the epitome of someone who is going to do everything he can to make it work. And Noel was put into a tough situation. He probably would have played more of a 4 position. And when Cass went down, he had to absorb into that 5 position. And then he had to take on sometimes the biggest guys on the floor. And that wasn't something that we normally would have asked him to do, other than maybe a couple minutes here or there, but we would have had someone bigger taking care of it. And so his responsibility in that role, really, he stepped up and did a lot of things very positive for us. And then Nolan Potts was a guy that athletically came in and really was a spark in some of those games, getting rebounds or exploding up, getting some, scoring opportunities simply because he was in the right place at the right time and the guys knew how to find him. And so, those things became very important as the time went on, as we were growing as a team and having all 6 of those guys find their place. And then when it became, Cass is on the side, and those 5 guys still became the heartbeat for what we were doing. And so it's been great to see them grow. It's been great to see how much they have pulled this program into, I hope, a new lane and how we're going to be advancing from here forward. The expectation has certainly taken on more momentum for this is how we are going to play basketball. This is what's expected in the offseason. This is how you're supposed to perform. And I think guys understand that better now that there were a number of guys that dedicated themselves to that. So I know for a fact that we're Wednesday, after just losing on Saturday, and I know that they're underclassmen that every day have been in the gym, every day have been lifting and doing something to better themselves, and that says a lot for how they've looked up to these guys and how they believe that the mantle has been passed. It's over for those seniors, and I don't think anyone in that locker room was happy about the way it ended. And I think that the expectation is we have more that we're supposed to do. This was not supposed to be a blip on the screen. This is supposed to be a surge, and the surge is supposed to continue. We were supposed to, in our story, win that and move on. And the story didn't end the way we wanted it to. And so now, again, it's a different team. That responsibility is shifted to the younger classes, and they have got to pick it up and move with it. And I think they're feeling that, and I think they know that responsibility is theirs.
So how do you replace your seniors, and what do you expect for next year?
Well, I don't know that we replace any of them. I think what happens is we adapt and figure out what's going to work. We have a number of guys that we can build around. Corbin Matthew has had a great couple of seasons. He'll be a junior next year. And so, he was in the starting role all but the 2 games in the season. So he started most of the season for us. And then we have other juniors like Graham Drone. The hope is Caden Rowland comes back healthy and strong and able to play. Braden Mouchette and Trent Walter are also the seniors coming up. And then at that junior class level, we have Brian Camarina. We have Chase Van Meter. We have Lynch, who are those 3 guys are ready to go. We have some guys that played this year that hadn't played in a couple years with Dylan Simmons and Diego. Both of them didn't play their first year of high school and came back after, they played all middle school and then came back after a year off and seemed to like it. Hopefully they caught a little bit of the Hoosier bug and with basketball and see if we can get them back another season. So I think we have the horses to run. It's just now figuring out what we use for a track and what we use to run. It's got to be different. Brian Camarina isn't
6'5", isn't he?
He's a big guy. He's big and strong, but he doesn't move like Cass did. He doesn't move like Noel does.
Right.
And so the idea is we're not going to be able to go 100 miles per hour with Brian in there. It's not because he's not athletic and not a good player. He's a different kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what we have to do as a coaching staff is we have to put our guys in the best possible position. This isn't college where I get to recruit guys in and say, well, you're going to run our style because this is what we do.
Oh, come on, go out there and recruit a little.
Yeah. That'll go over well. But
we won't tell anyone.
Yeah, absolutely not. But I think that's part of what we have to do is we have to look at the personnel and figure out what's going to fit us best. And if we can do that, then what we have in front of us is, again, we can replenish these cabinets every year and find what we can do to put them in the best situation possible.
You know what it seemed like to me? Your guys, the whole roster, meshed so well. It seemed like that was such a strength because they just played, everybody fit perfectly. And that was,
it goes back to where we started with the season, though. We talked about a growth mentality. We knew that where we were starting was not going to be where we ended up. And I think when teams adapt to that and absorb that and make it part of how they see everyday life, mistakes don't keep stacking up. Mistakes give you a chance to learn and then adapt. So adapting to what's going on is really the surviving piece. And I thought that we did a nice job. We going back again. So Tri-County, we win Tri-County. We have Cass go down. Cass is not quite sure when we play Twin Lakes, Benton Central, West Lafayette, whether it's torn or not. We think maybe he'll come back. It's a sprain. But that weekend of that tournament, we win 1, lose 2. They're tight games, but we lose because we're trying to reshuffle. We kind of bounce back a little bit, get a couple wins, go on the road, fall apart during Hanover Central. Unusual gym, cold gym, different kind of style. We don't adapt very well. Come home, win a game with Boone Grove, and then we think, okay, we got things going. We're going the right direction. Go down to West Lafayette Central Catholic, and we get our doors blown off. Nothing about that game really went the way we wanted it to. They got up quick. We tried to fight back. We got close, but couldn't close it out. I mean, it was a bad game for us. And then we come back, win a couple games, take down West Side. We're like, okay, we feel good about this. Then go up to Couts and lose. And we beat Westside on Friday, Couts is on Saturday. We go to their not senior night, but like Hall of Fame night or something, and it's a big deal. They have a loud crowd, and we play flat. We give up a game that probably, if we played it again, we could win, but we didn't. We didn't get it. And so rather than grousing and moaning and groaning, we buckled down. And after that buckle down, we go to Judson, West Central, North Newton, Hebron, Delphi, Benton Central, Frontier, Tipton, Lowell, Winnemac, North Montgomery, Benton Central. We stack them up, we knock them down. And then we slipped at the end. But I'm not going to trade any of those other ones. And I think that's where we are.
Went through every game of the year. Did you see that? That's impressive.
Pretty good.
Man, oh man.
When you got 20 wins, that helps.
That's right, exactly. All right, Chad, our last chat here of the year. We'll give you a chance to thank some people that really contribute heavily to your program.
Well, first off, I think it's important to thank the administration for giving me the opportunity to be here. Mr. Craig, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Hickman, they have allowed me to be here. The school board allowed me to be here. I really enjoy this. It is a big part of my life here in Rensselaer and in what I do, and I don't take it for granted. I really think that this is a special opportunity, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy being part of our system and trying to do something positive for our community. I do want to take a moment and thank my coaching staff, Coach Fagley, Coach Collin, Coach Nelson, Coach Schmid. I have a couple guys that help with Jake Chapman with the film and Kerry Matthew with the film. Those guys put in a lot of time, and they allow for us to be a unit, and they have a lot of knowledge and a lot of abilities that they bring to help the team. Jack Drone keeps the book for us, and that's amazing. Robin Cook is our athletic trainer, and we have needed her tremendously this year, and she's there all the time. She travels with us a lot. She was on the bus with us for those long trips over to Frankfurt, and the boys love her. I mean, when something goes on, it's like, just go talk to Robin. And they know to go to her, and she'll be honest with them, and she'll tell them what they need to do, and she's going to hold them accountable with that. And Robin's been great for us. We had a couple managers this year with Adam Messman and Dylan Lazatter and Lindy Ventrello, who all came and were part of what we were doing and helping us and helping us make sure that we were doing what we could do and providing just the support that we needed, especially during game days, to be able to do things. All the people that work the concessions, there's a lot of behind the scenes things that go on to put an event on, and having concession stands, having the people take the tickets.
Some of our favorite people.
That's right, yeah.
And they do a great job, and then you have the scores table. I cannot emphasize enough having a scores table and know what they're doing, so that stays professional during a game. The pressure doesn't get to them.
You got a great group there.
They're fantastic. I've been to places where the scores table stands up and starts yelling at the crowd. He's mad because they said something. I've had people buzz the buzzer incorrectly, which stops the game, and they stop fast breaks, and they're like, oh, geez, it was an accident. It's like, those are inexcusable things, and our staff is professional, and they take it seriously, and they're very good at what they do, and so that means a lot. We know we have security at the games. Those people help. I think it just helps kind of calm the crowd. It can get very fired up in some high school events, and they do a nice job just kind of being there, being present, and so those people that are there really help with just kind of the day-to-day stuff. I do want to take a moment and thank the significant others for the coaching staff, especially my wife Rachel. They put up with a lot from us.
Every game following you guys.
She is. She's been a trooper for a lot of years for us. And
sits down 2 rows down and 2 rows over there.
Yeah, and she's usually pretty loud from what I heard. So
we're behind her. So,
yeah. But just her understanding of what this game means to us as a family and to me as a person, and what it's like to be on the coaching staff and being supportive of that, and being able to take the ups and downs that come in every season. And she's been great. And then having 2 boys on the team with me, Cass is a senior and Calden is a freshman. I want to thank them for being a part of this. It would be a very different experience if neither one of them liked basketball or didn't like being around, and it would be much harder for me to be in a competitive environment if my boys weren't there with me. If
Sure.
one of them was a swimmer or they were wrestling and I wanted to do basketball, I probably wouldn't be a basketball coach. I'd probably do something else so I could be close to them.
Sure.
And so to have them be a part of that, I think is really special for me. So there's just the season itself and the enjoyment of that process is so special. And then all of it starts over again, which is draining at the same time. It's exciting. And I think that's the part that's invigorating, is that yes, it's miserable. I feel like someone's punched me in the gut about every 2 seconds that I think about it. But at the same time, I do look forward to, okay, what are we going to do from here? And that part's fun.
All right.
Coach.
He's
I'll
got
tell
one
you what,
more here.
I got to tell you, Rensselaer's lucky. You guys, we have great coaches in so many sports. You look at some of the other schools that are struggling.
To even get coaches. You know?
Yeah. Coach comes in one year and he's gone the next. But yourself, Meeks, we got great coaches here.
Well, thank you.
I hope we'll have many, many, many more years.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate being a
you.
part. I appreciate the opportunity to do it. And I think that the more that we can get these boys in the position to where they're putting together good basketball games and they're good people and they're doing positive things, the better it's going to be. And so I think that high school sports is a really special time, and one of the things that we are trying to do as a staff is to get more people to come and appreciate how important high school basketball is, how important high school athletics are. It just provides so many different and unique experiences for people to dedicate themselves to something bigger than them, to be part of a team system, to be able to hopefully perform and represent in a way that people are happy to be around and happy to come and see. There's so many other things that are available, and people don't have to leave their house and they don't have to come and do things. And so there's something electric about being in that gym. And we want more than anything else that when someone by chance might come in, that they feel that electricity and they want to be there again. Whether it's, a 5-year-old that's coming in or someone who hasn't been back to a game in decades, and they come back and they say, those boys played hard. They played a good game. That's what we want. We want people to recognize them. So I'm hoping that we'll continue to make that happen.
Well, Chad, we appreciate you coming in each week and chatting Bomber basketball with us, and we love doing games. And Bill and I really want to express our thanks to you for believing in us for all these years. We've been doing it since 2019, and you've been right on board with us from the start, and we can't express how much we appreciate that.
I appreciate you guys doing this. I know it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time, and so thanks for being around. Thanks for giving people an outlet to be able to follow these different programs and to allow us to be able to hopefully entertain and have us be able to help some of these young people grow and have opportunities to do something pretty neat.
Have a good off season.
Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Coach. Chad Pulver has been our guest, and back to wrap things up on the Coach's Cage right after this.
High-quality personalized dental service is what they do at Hillcrest Dental. For over 40 years, generations have relied on Hillcrest Dental for beautiful, healthy smiles. Dr. John Ayler and Dr. Jack Drone look forward to seeing you for your next dental visit. For information or to set your appointment, call 219-866-7117. That's 219-866-7117, or visit hillcrestdental.net. Hillcrest Dental is a proud sponsor of all high school athletics. Pulver Psychological Services offers psychological counseling, consultation, and assessment. Locally owned and operated, Pulver Psych focuses on solutions for the community and serves as support for individuals, families, and organizations. Whether you're in need of personal, family, or success counseling, Pulver Psychological Services can help you reach your life goals. Increase work satisfaction, have better relationship compatibility, improve sports performance. Get in touch with Pulver Psychological Services by visiting pulverpsych.com.
Working with our customers has been Kentland Bank's trademark for 87 years. We're dedicated to making your visit a lasting one, and helping you achieve your goals is our #1 priority. With 5 locations, Kentland Bank offers all loans needed for today's businesses and families, including car loans, mortgages, agriculture, and commercial loans. We're here to make your busy life less hectic by offering online and mobile banking, bill pay, and P2P payments. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
put those headphones back on just for a little bit longer here. We got to say goodbye, at least to till April 13th. I think we said our first baseball game is.
Let's thank Beth again here for.
No kid.
What?
Beth the Graff and all the staff at Arnie's.
Awesome hosts. All the kids that work back there. They do such a great job. They take pride in what they do.
Yes, they do.
And you can tell. You can tell.
Yes, they do.
They keep the place spick and span. And
couldn't do it without her. That's for sure.
No.
Without them.
Yeah. It just it completes what we're trying to accomplish. To have a venue like this.
And hopefully we'll be welcome back in August. I haven't talked with Beth about that yet, but
do your job now.
Hopefully we can arrange that again. I think they like us here, and we like being here, and the coaches love it. So I don't see any reason why, but we'll ask and make sure that happens. But Billy, take about a little over a month off, and we'll see you on the baseball diamonds. So.
All right, Bob. Looking forward to it.
And Scotty Miller, what can you say about Scotty, too? I mean, my golly, with
the more we can have them and corner them, they can keep coming to our events here, the better off we are, that's for sure.
Takes the pressure off us, because when you and I are together, just alone by ourselves, it's a little shaky.
A little bit shaky,
shaky, and Scotty is the calming influence here, and we couldn't do it without him.
Tech
every Wednesday
and everything else.
Yeah, he is great, so we want to appreciate him for all he does, too. So, all right, one last time for Scotty Miller, Bill Kay, this is Bob Kurtz, and thank Arnie's again. So long, everybody.
The proceeding was a presentation of 3KG Community Broadcasting.